What is going on, everybody? Thank you for staying with us with these difficulties we're going through. We think we got everything ironed out. If it does get a little choppy, let us know in chat. But without further ado, this is Predcast episode 44. I had to let Windu know that because he's not good at remember those numbers.
I damn sure didn't know the number, bro. Thank you.
So, episode 44. Pinzo, how close is that to a year?
7, 6, 8.
All right. So let's get into the introductions, then we'll get into our conversation. I think we got a pretty interesting, not so spicy, but interesting conversation we're going to have with us here today.
I'm going to be spicy.
Well, you're always spicy.
We can make it spicy.
I was about to say, I'm going to be spicy, bro. I definitely have opinions for sure.
It's going to be spicier because we don't have F6 here to be like yes man answers. So
you gotta throw some respect at him, bro. What in the world? I'll stand up for you, F6.
Sorry you can't be here tonight, man. I hope everything gets better for you. But on that note, though, let's introduce each other, and then let's introduce ourselves. I'll introduce myself. Let's introduce ourselves, and then we'll jump right into it. Let's go. Xygore, Pinzo, myself, then Windu. We'll let you finish it off, Windu.
All right. Hello, everybody. I'm Xygore. I am a pretty good player, I guess, if we're doing intros. Uh-oh, my green screen just broke.
Bro, been there.
Actual people behind
Yep.
Well, I'll take care of that later. But so I'm Xygore. You can find me on YouTube. You can find me on Twitter, Twitch, whatever. That's basically all I need to say. I'm going to fix that. So I'll be back in a second, but I'll kick it off to the rest of you guys.
Pinzo.
I'm Pinzo, content creator for Pred. I stream daily. I upload YouTube videos daily. All that kind of stuff. I'm just kind of like that guy, you know. I'm just him. That's kind of what it comes down to.
Professional bowler, about to do a bake sale so we can get him to Florida.
2 fantasy football leagues, even though I have really good teams. So
You got Justin Fields. You don't got really good teams.
Bro, actually,
that right there takes your team down like
I'm still projected for the most
exponentially.
Bro, okay. Side note, totally wild because he had like the best draft out of everybody exiting. But rough. What's up, guys? I'm Windu, also known as Windu the Mace. I do a little bit of mobile content here and there. I've been grinding a ton of Mortal Kombat 1 lately, to be honest. And I still try to do a little bit of car and Star Wars related content. Each have their own channel for everything. So just search Winnie the Mace anywhere. But yeah, so this is the Predcast, everybody. As Bearded was saying here towards the beginning, essentially we are here to discuss latest things with Pred, news, feedback, etc. We do try to keep it as positive, as constructive feedback as possible as we talk always. And we do compare to other MOBAs, but we try to keep it as focused on Predecessor as possible. Now, I know I have my spicy takes that I'm about to go, that I'm definitely going to go into, right? I don't necessarily want to start with that, though. I want to hear, like, what do you want to talk about first, Bearded? Because I don't want to kick it off like that. Why?
Of course, as soon as I intro, my green screen fails. It feels bad. But, anyway,
it's all good, man. It's all good.
Hashtag real creator now initiated.
Right.
Let's go.
Right. So, I mean, we definitely got spicy takes. At first, I got to point out the fact that you already were committed to like, hey, I'm going to play Ethereal this weekend. And all I saw was Mortal Kombat the whole time. I was like, all right. Like, Ethereal had their little play test. I was like, all right. I was like, expected to get, see some Windu play Ethereal. Nothing. Like this guy, like you and Huddy playing Diablo. That's just what it is. Like these games came out and you guys just like,
bro, I'm gonna go straight into the spiciness then. I'm gonna go straight into it. I was trying not to. But yeah, so here's the thing. Over the weekend, Mortal Kombat 1 came out, right? And
I thought it was out already.
Well, it was out right before the weekend for premium members. I started playing on Friday. But essentially, new fighting game came out. There were a lot of other games that were kind of in the ecosphere, right? Like Ethereal had their little weekend test. Paragon the Overprime had a PlayStation beta that's still going on, I believe.
Yep. Closed.
And of course, still got Predecessor that I can log on and play at any time, right? And I gotta say, I've been grinding Mortal Kombat 1 and not even focusing on that game. What I noticed playing Mortal Kombat 1 is that it's like how abundantly clear it was made to me that Predecessor doesn't have that. Bro, I gotta get on Pred. I want to get this. I was on Mortal Kombat 1 grinding a skin. I was like, you know what? I want to grind ranked, or be like, yo, I'm gonna get on with the buddies and do a whole bunch of custom matches. We'll do just 1v1. We'll do a whole lobby and stuff, you know? Like, even though we have custom matches in 5v5s, that's not necessarily always the easiest to arrange, unless you're doing like in-house customs, like, you know, in like you know, certain lobbies that we have like behind the scenes
server or something.
Yeah. But yeah, like I personally, I think not being able to see that season roadmap and the rewards that we get and stuff like that, right? Like what they plan for us, not being able to have a visual representation or an actual scale to kind of follow. I found myself playing other games the majority of this past week because I felt like Predecessor did not have anything to reward me for my time while other games did. And I know that might be a harsh take, but I want to hear what you guys have to think about that, because that shit was like, that shit hit me, and I'm like, bro, I rough.
It's not harsh at all, but first of all, you jumped me. So just what's up, everybody? I am the Bearded Wolverine, your Michigan.
Oh, I did. Sorry.
Excited to get here. I was at my son's football game. Again, the reason why this show starting at 8 this next couple of weeks here. But it's at my son's football game, and a lady stopped me and asked me if I watched the show Vikings. If you haven't watched it, go ahead and watch it. It's a great show on History Channel. I think it's on Amazon Prime now. But I said yes, and she called me Ragnar Lothbrok. So she gave me a huge compliment on the beard. Love it. Thank you. Appreciate it. But anyways, I also just stream and do the show here, Predcast. I'm horrible at putting other content out there, shorts, TikTok, all that stuff. So I'm just going to be, I'm that live streamer guy that's not going to promote myself anymore. But yes, Windu, it's not a harsh take at all. It's literally what I said last week, or was it 2 weeks ago or whatever, when I said that I was literally playing PTO because they have masteries and I'm able to actually grind and do masteries in PTO. You know, I actually, Monday night, I played 3 games Monday night of Sereth off lane. I enjoy her kit. I enjoy how she plays. But like I played with a bunch of placement people. Like I had another placement I don't know what it is. I get a placement crunch in my team. And then that person's like literally just taking, you know, getting CS in off lane, getting CS in mid lane, getting CS in dual lane. And it's like, they're never there for objectives. They're just literally don't know what's going on. I'm like this. At first, I thought I was being trolled. I thought this guy was just literally trolling me the whole time. Come to find out, they don't know what they're doing. So that's why I said the 2 things I think this game needs is mastery and a tutorial system, because these new people coming in and having no clue what's going on is pretty bad. So after those 3 games, I switched over to PTO. I went and played PTO instead. As if I'm going to play with people that don't know how to play, I'll go play PTO and at least get mastery stuff. Like I get that benefit. So I know it's close, but the hero affinity, which is going to be their equal to mastery, needs to be here.
It's wild how
anything. It sucks.
Sorry, I was going to say it's wild how even just like a meaningless, basic ass skin as a rewarding game gives you a reason to want to play the game, right? Like I legit grinded maybe the first 2 days of Mortal Kombat this past week and got absolutely crappy skins the whole time, but I kept on getting shit, and it was to the point where like, bro, I'm about to get something good. I feel it. I got to get something good. Like there's a chance, you know,
eventually, right?
Yeah. Right now, even if Predecessor drops a skin, still for the fact that I'm gonna have to be like $15, $10, $20, whatever number they decide, you know. I'm like, even at that point, and I love skins, and I probably would still buy a skin to support them. I still want to earn something, and just because I haven't played a game like Mortal Kombat in forever, I didn't miss it for the longest, especially playing Pred or whatever. I was like, bro, I don't need it. I'm chilling. I'm good. I'm playing my games. But now that I've been surrounded back in that environment, I was like, bro, I now became of the group of people that I'm like, I really like, why don't we have at least something to track? A community event like, yo, Sereth is out. Let's see if in the first week we can get 1 million points in damage. Here's the damage counter on the screen. Just something, right?
Right. Yeah, especially having the new UI.
Speaking of like skins and stuff like that, I had Ace in my chat today, and he was talking about the Bellica skin that got teased like 3 months ago
with the new animations, yeah,
on it,
right.
Yeah,
or new FX, yeah.
I mean, do you guys even know when that was? Like early July or something like that?
I don't know when it was. It was a while ago.
Probably before that.
Ace said he forgot about it. I totally completely.
I'm pretty sure it was. Really, am I muted? No, I'm not muted.
No, you're
sure he talked about it in the season 2 roadmap video, which would have been even sooner than July. Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been like May.
Yeah.
That sounds about
like,
right.
That kind of thing could be if they were to release like a new skin, an original skin like that, and make it grindable.
That's not original.
Even I know it's not happening, but like something like that, or give us another Ascended.
No, I'm not saying it's not happening. I'm saying you said it was original. I'm just telling you that's not original. That's
it was basically a reskin with new visual animations. Yeah. They basically took it was a reskin with stickers on top.
Xygore skin, right? It's a recolor, but it has the animations are different, or like are different colors.
The Xeris?
I mean, no. Xeris is
no.
Xeris is original because it's original, but Xeris is it's not. Xeris default skin and Xeris red skin is complete. They're two different skins, right?
I don't look at them.
They're actually different character models. Yeah.
But character models. Now, the Bellica is a different character model than what Bellica currently her default character model is, but it's not. That's already a skin that's put out. That's an epic skin.
Let me give you this example: normal Murdoch, and then we have the yellow Murdoch with the spikes, right? Imagine they grab that yellow Murdoch, not the original base skin. They grab the yellow one, change the color, and give it new visual effect. That's what they're doing with Bellica.
Yeah,
they're using an epic asset, the one with the helmet, the battle armor one, and then they're giving it visual effects to kind of spice it up a little.
I didn't play Paragon. Didn't remember the skin.
No, that's I just wanted you to understand that it wasn't original. Yep.
Okay.
You're good.
Okay.
See, since we're talking about skins, I'll put in my one thought about skins. My perfect world for skins is a world where we have skins that one have like different like in programming it's called containers, so like a shield would be a container, so you can take the shield from one skin and put it with like the Xaris like horn headpiece from another skin, so you can mix and match things and combine them and make
like Destiny cool. style and sort of vibes.
Also have the ability to like go in and change the colors of the skin itself, because I don't think that selling recolors of skins is really like, if you're changing the textures,
like the best model.
Some of them, fine, sure. But if you're just changing the colors, just sell a pack that gives us a tool to where we can dye the skins the colors that we want. And if you don't want people playing like lime green Xaris, then make it so they're like specific colors we can pick from.
What if you?
But just doing that would give it. Yeah, it would just give it much more customizability, which I would like to see.
So you said
made it like play 5 games with red Xaris and you unlock green Xaris as a recolor of the red Xaris skin.
Charge everybody $20 for the chromas, and then make them grind
it. You know,
I mean, it is grinding something.
Realistically, there were two things that were kind of hit on. One, Wolverine or Bearded talked about the player onboarding, getting like brand new players who don't have any clue in your games, and that's always going to happen just because there are always new players that are like maybe even just new to gaming in general, and this is the first game they played, right? So once you have like a ranked mode and you can stratify their player base more, hopefully you won't have to play with those players anymore. The other thing that Windu talked about and I just escaped my mind. Was not getting any rewards for playing, which is true, but and not true, because we are getting end of season rewards, right? The problem is it's so abstract because you don't know what you're getting, and it's so far out that it would be much better served to have you earn the skins as you go. Say once you hit level 30, you will unlock this skin
automatically.
Right? And I think they are supposed to be adding in the affinity systems, the hero mastery system, hopefully next content patch, right? But who knows if they will have unlockable like mastery skins or anything like that with that affinity system. Given their track record,
froze on me
to not believe that that's the case.
All right, I'm trying.
Xygore froze on you?
Yeah. No, like Zoom is frozen. I'm like our little mini box. Our mini
do this.
Fine.
Turn off your camera and turn it back on. Little tidbit. Actually, get it to kind of kickstart again.
Hello? No, yeah. See, it's stuck on Zygore's face.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, bro, it's stuck on your face in the middle of a sentence. I'm looking at the stream right now. You're literally stuck on.
Nice.
I want to reset it real quick. Reset Zoom.
Zoom does not want to work on my computer. Yeah, be right back, guys. Give us 1 second.
Really? Everything. Next time Pinzo streams it, confirmed.
Whoa, hey, whoa.
You're like
Not cheap.
like the streamer. What do you mean? Hashtag bait sale.
You got twice as good internet as I do. If yours ain't working, I don't know what you want mine to do.
It's definitely not the internet. My OBS literally it happened through the week, so I've actually been trying to work on it. My OBS randomly, I would open it, GPU immediately went to 100%, and I'm like, I'm not live. I'm not doing anything. It literally went from like 1% usage straight to 100, and I'm like, do I have like some sort of leak or something?
Don't you have a 40 series?
I have 3060 on stream PC, 3080 on gaming PC.
Interesting.
But it was like, yeah, I don't understand. 0 to 100, legit. I was like, yeah, it's mind blowing.
That's pretty whack.
Yeah, and now it's to the point that I can't even use OBS properly without it messing. He's back.
No,
back.
Well, yeah, but now I can't get my cam to work.
Well, your video's off, bottom left.
No, it won't let me turn on. It says cannot start video. It's because OBS is running.
Oh man.
But hey, we're back there.
Gotta love technical difficulties.
Bro, Lekron in the chat. Steal Windu's PC, bearded. More important than him gaming at 4K. My PC, I'm actually having GPU issues. That's the reason why Bearded is running the show today. Appreciate everybody understanding and kind of chilling and vibing here.
I can't get it to turn my. I've had this issue before. I don't know how to turn my camera off on OBS to not recognize it.
Open up the source that has your camera, deactivate.
Yeah, if it's OBS, there should be like a little eye icon. If you click on the eye, it should
I've already done that.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I think there's a source somewhere else that it's hiding, and it just doesn't. It will not let me find it.
That's what I'm saying. If you just click on the source and click on the deactivate portion inside of property.
I just did that, and it's not working.
Well,
let's start the stream. Let's take it from the top. Let's do this one last time.
I mean, I'm okay to keep going and we just talk, at least for the meantime, while Bearded troubleshoots.
You guys figure that out, and we'll go.
F6 leaves and the podcast goes to hell. Chill out.
Okay, we just
I could always talk from this one.
Oh, there's a different camera. Totally forgot we said that camera, bro.
Empty water bottles over there. I got my little recycle bin there.
I'm the same way, bro.
Pile of McDonald's bags.
Yes, definitely.
You can see my entire room on my camera, so I got to keep it kind of clean.
Kind of clean. Okay.
Kind of clean.
But honestly, let me ask you guys something. I'm gonna ask you guys for advice, and I'd love for the chat to kind of chime in here, right? As somebody that wants to support Predecessor, by all means, right? But at the same time, I don't find myself wanting to grind because, let's say, Affinity System isn't there yet or anything like that, right? And just playing the game for itself doesn't do it for me right now. Do you guys think that it's okay for somebody to just step away for a week or two and then come back as soon as those moments come around? Or do you guys think that we're in a time where Predecessor needs every single bit of support that it can get? Leaving would be a bad thing for the community? Because this applies for a lot of people. What do you guys think?
My answer is my answer is number one, first a question, which is, does you playing the game directly support Predecessor? Does that actually support them? Just playing the game. Obviously, if you're streaming or doing whatever, right, that's like sort of free marketing, whatever. But if you just log on and play one match of Predecessor, is that supporting them? Does that do anything for them?
I would say yes, because it boosts their player numbers, therefore helping alleviate their biggest problem, which is player base quantity.
Okay. My second answer is that kind of like when it comes to supporting a game like Pred, I think that it works a lot kind of like a friendship, which is you know, if you've got one friend who you haven't talked to in a while, you know, there's two things to do about it, right? Either you can message them or they can message you. You know, it's sort of like if I'm going to support Pred, how's Pred going to support me as a player? Like what's Pred doing for me? If I'm going to help out Pred, what's Pred going to do for me? Which currently is nothing, right? Like that'd be an incentive, would be what Pred could do for me is drop something like hero masteries or, you know, a grindable skin, etc., right?
Little event, anything. I hear you.
Yeah. If they support me, right, then I'm more willing to support them.
So I'm gonna echo my pal Crashy on this one in a little less, in a little more tactful way. The reality is, and I'm a big fan of Asmongold. If any of you guys have watched any of his videos, he put out a video recently about Baldur's Gate 3, which is an amazing game. But it was about how a lot of game developers in Elden Ring had the same issue. They're like, why do people like Baldur's Gate 3 so much? The UI is terrible. And to be fair, it is terrible. And the Elden Ring UI was not the greatest. But the thing is, nobody cares about the UI of a game. People want to play a game if the game is good, right? And the reality is, with a live service game, people want to play a game that has content. Omeda is a small team, and they're doing everything as fast as they can. The problem is, from a consumer perspective, it's not enough. So they have two options: let their game die, or hire more people and get content out faster. They did the UI because they had to do it for console. Great. If it's there where it needs to be for console, I don't want to see any more UI changes for like a year or two at the development pace they're at right now. So that's kind of my take.
Let me add on to what you were saying there. You know what, something that actually surprised me? Because I'm very active on Twitter specifically, or X, right? And I was actually shocked. So they released a hotfix last Wednesday, right? New character had come out on Tuesday.
Yep.
They released a hotfix on Wednesday. Cool, right? Getting to it. There hasn't been a single post since Wednesday. And ever since the new marketing team and the new, you know, community team has been there, they were literally posting like every day or two. Consistently. Post. Check this out. New heroes out. Check out this video. You know what I mean? Like, especially leading up to Xerath too. Like, literally several posts a day. I was actually kind of shocked. Nothing got posted.
Hey, before we reply, it's frozen again. I'm going to close back out. I'm going to try one more time. I don't know what's going on here.
Do you want me to close and see if you can stay in it?
I mean, you could try to come back in, but it's frozen on your face. I don't know. Go ahead and try, but I guess you close. It might force it to go something else. But
you're right back.
Nope, kept him on there.
Oh, that's it, bro. That's hilarious. So it left him, like he left from the conversation, but Pinzo's face was still frozen in the middle of the screen. Oh my gosh. Then Pinzo said, "Be right back." Got lost. There he is.
I had to reboot the program. Probably running an HDD in 2023.
Yeah, I don't. Why Zoom gives Bearded PC so many problems? Because it usually has some sort of bugger.
I think it's probably like the disc. Have you had the Discord issue where if you have a different audio path for like OBS than you have in Discord, it like won't play game sound or things like that? So it could be some sort of issue like that. I'm not sure.
Maybe, yeah, maybe just somewhere along the actual path of the processes, maybe something's hiccuping. Not sure.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is. It's something to do with my computer and Zoom. It does not like it.
Lecron just says Zoom CEO.
If you go live, Windu, we have no issues. If I go live, this is what we deal with every time.
Well, you know what's interesting? I still hosted the Zoom. It's the moment that you stream and Zoom. Isn't that interesting? Like somewhere those two are disagreeing with each other. But But no, so I was actually gonna add here. Dang, sorry. So remind me, what were we just talking about? I just literally.
Supporting Pred by like playing alone, or is it okay to like step away?
And okay. The game not having content fast enough and things like that.
That's right. So let me add a little bit as far as what Xygore was saying here. So my thing is, I noticed that they're slowing down, that they had this past week at least. The social media, at least as far as Twitter goes, has been basically non-existent ever since last Predcast, right? Which is very unusual for them. Now,
weird.
Now, my question would be, does that mean that they're holding off? Does that mean we're about to get something big and they're like, yo, don't post anything this week, but next week we're going to start hitting them hard because something's coming up? You know what I'm saying? Like,
it could also,
go ahead.
As I say, it could also be because of the controversy from the slower pace of content. They're trying to let it breathe a little bit. Or it could be a coincidence, but if they are trying to let it breathe, I honestly think that's a mistake, because in content creation, if you have something controversial coming out about you, you want to just kind of try to either acknowledge it and move on, or just ignore it and keep plugging on, and eventually people forget about it, because the average consumer, once again, has the attention span of a peanut and people forget after like a week, right? So if you like a lot of people will do like Twitter apologies when they get canceled, and then oftentimes it makes things worse. So realistically, when that kind of stuff happens, it's better to just not acknowledge it or double down, to be honest. So,
well, I'm kind of with Red Clown in the chat here. So Red Clown says they should be more active than ever since season 3 just launched to bring more hype. And then, a lot of talk about console here and there. But my wondering, like my curiosity is more towards the lines of, we've met several people, the marketing team, community management team, and everything, that love engaging. They're going to go and post. They're going to go leave a comment. They're going to go and reply to what somebody said on their stuff. You know what I mean? Like they love engaging. And
so here's the thing. I don't think Omeda is oblivious to the fact that their game is not in like the best state right now. And there's two things that really are important when it comes to like marketing and getting a player base. The first one is going to be the halo effect, and basically what that is if you have something that looks good and has like a pretty UI and cool skins and mastery system, things like that, the halo effect will make people ignore things that are bad about the game if the game looks good. Look at Overprime, right? They have great skins. Their gameplay kind of sucks, but a lot of people like that game just because it looks good. And I tried playing it the other day. It's like a weird mobile game kind of menu, which was like very annoying. But
it's very mobile game.
The other thing that is important is called the anchoring bias, which is where the first impression that somebody has of something basically is going to set how they feel about something forever onward, right? The game isn't in that good of a state. It would be bad of them to market the game to players, to have them come in, play the game, and then get to where we are, where we're like, we like playing this game because it's a 3D MOBA and it's a unique experience that's better than something like Smite, but the game kind of sucks, right? And it's like, you don't want to poison the well of potential players by marketing the game earlier than you should if you aren't confident in their product. And they'll say they're confident in their product, but think they're confident in the vision of their product rather than the product itself right now.
I do think that, like, just asterisk on that. I do agree with you. Asterisk on that is that I think that there is a difference between marketing your product and like interacting with the community, right? Normally we get things like Wallpaper Wednesday and stuff like that, right? Where it's just like, it's a Twitter post just to, kind of be active in the community. They're not like, obviously, yeah, right now is not the time to market the game. That's not really a secret, but like, there's no, like, we're not really getting any interaction from them, and I think that's kind of what Windu's talking about, is they've kind of gone, I mean, it's been 1 week, but they've kind of been radio silent.
I mean, as far as official posts go, I would agree, but I will go to bat for Omeda on this. I have been memeing with Kari and some other unofficial Discords over the week, so they haven't gone completely radio silent. As far as official content goes, they haven't put anything out.
That's what I mean. Like on their Twitter, Discord stuff, like at least like announcements channel, that kind of thing. Yeah. I mean, they're still there. They're still active. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, it's not like they stopped working in general, but let me give you an example. Let's use Zars. original hero, literally right before. On the 8th, they did the traditional patch. This patch is available now, right? Go play. Here's the link so you can download it and everything. Then immediately after, they were like, no one said a god has to be kind. Show your ferocity with the Warlord Xur skin, just showing the extra skin. Available in the in-game store now. Hashtag Wallpaper Wednesday, right? So, just a little something. A couple days later, 2 days later, they're like, hey, hot fix. By the way, here's a blog. There's communication. And then after, like literally same day, you want to see what it takes to make the voice? Here's a video of Nabori recording his voice lines. Just something to just kind of entertain the community, right? And they could so much that they have
with that situation, though. That is an original hero. There's a lot of original things with that to do. Hey, here's Sarah's voice actor. You can't, that's something they don't have. And I know that's not what you're asking. I'm just saying there's a lot of they're kind of handcuffed with Sarah. Now they could have done a wallpaper. I didn't see a Wallpaper Wednesday post. I
wanted a Wallpaper Wednesday.
Not yet.
I have not seen a Wallpaper Wednesday post. We
are still Wednesday. They got 3 hours.
It is still Wednesday, but they're sleeping now.
Not for them. It's not Wednesday for them.
Yeah, it's already past their time now. So we're at that point, So I do agree with that situation, but it's just we can't expect them to put out original hero content, as equal to with these regular Paragon hero content.
Well, what about the Rampage meme? That has nothing to do with any character that's or anything. It's literally just something ticked off Rampage caption contest. Something cool.
Right. And what happened with that?
People use it.
Be a winner. I was expecting some kind of winner.
Yeah, I was expecting some kind of announcement of here's our top 5 from that contest. We got nothing.
It wasn't a contest, was it?
I kind of felt it felt like there was.
That's what it said on the Twitter.
Oh no, it does say hashtag caption content. So.
Right. And I'm expecting at least to give, even if it wasn't a contest, hey, here's our best. Here are
the cool ones, the funny ones.
5, here's our top 5 in our opinion, whatever. That's fine. It doesn't have to be a contest by any means. But you can use that to make more content out of it, and nothing else came from that.
But that's why I'm thinking it's deliberate.
That's one stuff like that you can do.
But that's why I'm thinking it's deliberate, because all these people that we've met that are in charge of this, they'll do that shit. And then be like, oh shit, was I not supposed to? I thought that shit was fun, so I posted it, right? Because they love the community, they love engaging, right? When I see dead silence for a week when it hasn't been a thing for months,
you think they've been told to?
I think they've been told yo, chill out, and then here's what we want you guys to start focusing on next week or something like that, right? I don't see the passion of all the individuals that we know are on the community team randomly be they're all gonna stop for a week,
and once again, if that is the case, I think that's a mistake, because when they don't say anything, it lets the community ruminate on the bad things of season 3, which if you've been paying attention in forums, has been nothing but where's the content, basically, which is a fair criticism. But when you let that sit, it's actually counterproductive to what they probably want, which is people moving on from.
Nobody speculates positive. They all speculate negative.
Yeah.
Well, and you say that the number one complaint is, where's the content, which I would say is true. Do you think that the reason that maybe I do think Bearded is right. We got more stuff for Xeris because he's an original hero. They get to do cool stuff with him. But do you think that some of the reason we didn't get big kind of blog posts, well, we got a blog post, but we didn't get big Twitter posts or anything for season 3 is because nothing really changed? I mean, it's really just season 2 part 2, right? I mean, we didn't
even them doing a post
UI,
of, hey,
but I mean, in game, everything is the exact same.
No, and you're not wrong, but even a post of, hey, what are your guys' thoughts? Just going on Twitter and asking what is your feedback on the new UI? Even if it's negative feedback.
They've done that with other heroes. What do you guys think about Sereth? You having fun with her? Do you play her more in the jungle or in the solo? What type of builds do you do on Sereth? Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. They do that. I don't want to discredit their community team, because their community team any day of the week will come out and post some shit like that and have it be effective. That's why I'm trying to. So let me clarify here. I don't think that their community team is slacking. I think that their community team has been told to chill out for, because I don't see any other explanation. Like,
I think that's not unlikely.
It just doesn't make sense to me.
It doesn't make sense to me either. But I don't think that, like, I do agree with Windu that, like, all the people that I've met from the community team seem like they want to. I mean, and everyone from Omeda says they all say the same thing. They all say, "I wish I could tell you this, but I can't."
I think.
Right?
I think the thing that makes more sense is the fact that they're just, if anything, their nose are just to the grindstone. They're working on. They're just busy on it. That makes more sense to me than them being told not to do anything.
Yeah, but the ones that are grinding aren't the ones posting or engaging or asking questions.
Why can't a community manager be grinding? Why can't they be doing, like, especially with Stegs being one of them? Stegs, like, sitting there, he's been doing whatever he's doing, because he already, when he came on here, he went live. He did actually a live show with
Choice. He did check that out for sure.
With Choice Plays, so make sure you check that out on his YouTube. Choice Plays YouTube, I believe it's on. It might be on PCC, but I think it's on Choice Plays. I could be wrong. Sorry,
it's on Choice Plays.
But he did that, so there's that going on. But he's also, we know he's setting up to go live. He wants to go live on Predecessor's Twitch, like that's something that he wants to do. So he's grinding that out. And who knows? The other,
but that's what I'm saying. Let's say
Zuzu could be on vacation right now, and Kira is, doing other things. We don't know what they're doing. I have no clue what they do on the back end. I'm just saying there's things that a community manager could be doing that's not literally just being in Discord talking to people all the time.
Fair. I'm just saying, like, the odds of everybody just being straight packed for a week coincidentally, it's kind of weird. Now, honestly, it's shot in the dark. I think if they've been this quiet for a week, that might mean we might actually get some console news here soon, because at early part of season 3.
Right.
Like just an update, you mean?
Yeah, like what if they're just saving all their ammo for a bigger blog post coming down the road? You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe they're like, hey, we got these 10 cards. We don't feel comfortable showing the first 3. We rather show them all 10. Right.
It'd be cool.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, that gets me hopeful, because if there is silence, I'm expecting them to be holding cards back, because silence isn't normal.
I'm detecting a mad amount of copium right now. I think the reality is they're in the doghouse. Whether or not they're making community posts doesn't really impact me as a player of this game. And I think if they make more community posts, whatever. But as an average player, I don't really care. So
F6 says in chat, 1 week of season 3 Pred community, they need to do more. And yeah, F6, that's where we're at, man. Like with season 1, we got more. We got a beefier, like we got like we had content we could sink our teeth into. Season 2, we had content we could sink our teeth into. Season 3, what do we get? I'll wait for you to reply. Well, we can't use the whole Predcast for that. I guess I won't wait for you to reply, but we need something. Like, there's nothing going on here. So yes, the community wants more. Like, you set the community up for, this is something again, we're used to. You put us in a rhythm. We got this rhythm going, and all of a sudden now you just instantly change that rhythm, and it's like, wait a minute, this is not what we're like. We're ready for this, and that's something that you have to do as a business. If this is your business, this is what you're doing. It doesn't matter if you're Nike. If Nike puts out a shoe every month, and then all of a sudden the next month there's no new shoe, everybody's like, wait a minute, what happened to we're supposed to get a shoe? Like, why did we get a shoe? Every business has to deal with this, and you have to have a way to work with that and figure that out and do something. Like, if we're not able to give you the shoe, hey, we gave you 4 more shirts, whatever it might be. You got to do something. Like,
it's like they did like 2 weeks ago. Like, even if it's just distracting them with a random meme contest or something, right?
Yeah,
something is something.
I want to go back. I want to go back real quick, though. I meant to say it, but I was messing around with the camera and all that stuff, and I couldn't get into it. Windu, you made a comment about season 3 and how, like, there's really no way of tracking it. We don't know what's going on, and I think that's a failed situation with them as well. Just having the ability to see your progress bar when you finish yeah, you do have your level, like hey, I'm level 8 or whatever, but you just see your progress bar on the season roadmap. Like here we go, like boom, I'm halfway to my season 10 reward or whatever it might be, or not season 10, but my level 10 reward or whatever. Just having that, even though you don't know what the reward is, which I agree also makes it like not as fun to grind. But just something that shows that you're doing a grind. Right now, you just have a level for your player account, right? Your player account level goes up, but it doesn't show you like that your player account level counts for that, right? So the people who don't pay attention that there's a season 3 roadmap, the people that have no clue that even exists, don't know that, hey, because you're actually level 8 or level 8, that you're 2 levels away from unlocking something. If you just saw that you're 2 levels away from unlocking something, even if you don't know what it is, you're gonna want to grind that even more. So
well, guess we gotta stay till 3 a.m. Rip.
Exactly. Like you have this. Oh man, I want to get that. I'm almost there. Let me see how more games I can get to get that. Even if you don't know what it is, that's still better for them. They got to have a way to show that progression.
Well, and like on unlocking things, right? It's been 8 days since Sereth came out. I officially unlocked Sereth yesterday. As far as like I actually own the hero now, not on free rotation. It took me 39 games. Which I don't think is unreasonable. That's like 20 hours of gameplay, and it is the highest tier of unlockable hero. So easier heroes take less time to unlock. Sereth is considered a more difficult hero. She takes more time to unlock. That's the way that the system works. I don't think that's an unreasonable amount of time. However, I now have 2 weeks until the next patch, and I am out of things to grind. Right now, I get to sit on the same exact patch for the next 2 weeks. And then probably get a middling balance patch, right? I just like when they push patches back to 3 weeks apart, it just, I don't know. It hurts my motivation to play. The game doesn't change. It's just the stale.
You know what? It's very interesting to me because like I've never really been somebody that's been big into spending money on skins and things like that. Now that I make content for as many videos as I don't have, right? I'm a little more invested in having my account be cool for people who are watching my videos. But as far as like being motivated by unlocking stuff, that's never really been the case to me. I've always seen it as more of like under or like behind the curtain, as more of like an industrial organizational psychology thing to motivate people extrinsically to play a game that maybe isn't really even that good. I would rather they focus on improving the game and making the core the core gameplay loop better than focus on things that are not why we play the game, right?
I wouldn't disagree.
Fair, but I am also the idea of the person working on the jungle camps, for example, is not the same person that's right. Or for example, the person working on the jungle camps is not the UI person that could have put that tracker in there. Like for me, like I understand sentiments and everything, like, company, they're still adjusting and all that, by all means. Again, for me, the realization was when I played another game and I was like, bro, I want to play game number 2 just to keep grinding. Like I'll play that shit by myself if I have to. I want to grind and get to that level. Once I get there, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe I want to play something else. But legit right now, I myself, and I know that if I'm struggling to turn on the game and play Predecessor because of a lack of motivation, I can imagine there's other people that are struggling as well, therefore affecting their player base and everything. And I think,
well, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think that as far as the complaints that we've seen out of player base, the complaints that we've seen out of matchmaking, and I think that their priority should be to keep people engaged and in the game, even if it's just a simple dumb contest that some might not care about, even if it's a simple, like a Twitter post asking people questions, or you post your sick clips, we're gonna have a little contest and share them and vote and accept, like just some sort of engagement interaction, because in this world of like, I don't know, 80% of the people are gonna hit ADHD, but in the next fucking 20 years, bro, Like in this world that we're in right now, if I'm scrolling through Twitter and I see a random post about Street Fighter, I'm like, you know what? I haven't played Street Fighter in a minute. Let me check it out real quick. If I see a Predecessor post, like, bro, I'll be at work and get reminded constantly of Predecessor because they're always posting something, replying, interacting. I get messages like DM from people. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'll get DMs from people and be like, yo, look what they posted. Dope. I'm involved in the ecosphere of the game consistently via their content as well.
All right, so here's a question.
Hold on. I want to go with what Windu was saying real quick about the playing other games or whatever. And I feel like I'm a big proponent of that because like when Fault was out, Fault was the only game I played. Windu asked me to play other games. I had other people ask me to play other games. Fault was the only game I played, and I enjoyed playing it every time I loaded up. Didn't matter what was going on. I had fun playing that game. There was no game that pulled me away. The only time I got pulled away was because if it was a limited time access for Predecessor, for PTO, or for Ethereal. That's the only time I got pulled away from Fault, right? I didn't do it. With Predecessor, I've actually made myself go away because I just wasn't having fun, and there was nothing that was keeping me here. I had masteries in Fault. I had other things that I felt like I was being tracked. I was like, oh man, I'm doing better here, whatever. I'm not getting that here, and I'm going away. And this is the game that I want to play. I don't want to play PTO. I don't want to play other games. I want to play this game, but I'm shutting the game off and turning PTO on just so I have something to actually feel like I did something positive today. Because playing this game just to play it, you're not getting that. And in chat, we have F6 says game isn't failing. Everyone wants a full game when the game is early access game. It's a misunderstanding on what the product actually is. It's like buying a prototype and expect the final product. And that's 100% nothing close to what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I want you, yes, I know it's not a full game. I'm not asking you to give me the full game, but I'm asking you to give me something small, a little morsel, something that I can chew on and I can savor and I'm going to enjoy while I'm playing your game during the prototype stage. That's all I'm asking for. Give me a progress bar to show me that I'm actually doing something, that I'm making changes or whatever, that I'm actually I'm benefiting from me playing the game, not just me playing the game. Like literally nothing. Like I'm not an IT. I'm not IT. If I was IT, then it is what it is. But I'm not IT. Give me something a little chew on.
I would agree with your points, and I want to try to reinforce that against what F6 is saying. I don't think the game is currently succeeding. I think, like, what does success look like for a company that's had $20 million invested into it, right? I think we could put the cap on players somewhere like if they have 10,000 concurrent players, the game is succeeding, right? If we take the game's current state and we extrapolate out 6 months to a year, is this game going to look like Fault? Because that's not a success. Fault had 200 active concurrent players for pretty much its whole life, but the game died because that is not success. The game as it is right now is not succeeding, and right, they're not marketing the game. But the reason they're not marketing the game is because if they did, nobody would keep playing the game because the game isn't in a good spot.
I would say success in a game literally comes down to growth and profitability, right? Which at the end of the day, we don't know profitability. We don't know, given the time that they spent versus how much they've gotten back, because they've told us the early access packs aren't for gaining money, they're more for gatekeeping.
I think it's too early. I'm on F6's side in this situation. I agree with him saying it's not failing. It's not a failing game because it's too early for what they're putting into it right now, and like they haven't done enough of the stuff to see growth. Right, once they start implementing certain content, ranked, free to play, all that stuff, that's when if we're not getting, when we do free to play and we got ranked and we're not seeing growth, that's when we're like, hey, we got to figure out what's going on. But right now, where the game's at currently, growth is not something that we need to see, right? Profitability, possibly that's something you want to be able to, hey, are we getting profit here and there or whatever? But like it's an early access game. I'm not looking for any of that stuff right now. Again, I'm just asking for something for us people who are here to help support the game, to give us a little bit of something. You know, I guess that just give me a progress bar on the season roadmap.
I want to counter.
That shows us how we're at.
I want to counter, play a little bit of devil's advocate. So, because I feel you on the whole, growth isn't necessarily the focus right now, right? Especially being early access, paid entry. We know it's going to be free to play eventually. But let's just say, statistically, right? They went from 2,000 concurrent to 1,800 concurrent. The 1,600 concurrent, 1,400 concurrent, right? Like a trend, nonetheless. They have to be looking at that number and realize at what point are we reaching critical meltdown category to where, hey, if this trend continues, when will growth actually be like, hey, we got to focus on this? Like, it's getting dangerously low because they need it to be at least a certain level for data acquisition. They need it to be a certain level for balance, right? They need it to be a certain level as far as feedback also. Because feedback from 100 people isn't the same thing as feedback from 1,000. So I get it, but I think that they should specifically be trying to keep these core early access people as much as possible, not necessarily grow, but they should be hardcore focusing on that retention. Because if people that are in early access are struggling with retention, I can only imagine what retention is going to be like for a brand new player that's not as invested, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, I think Crashy said something smart in chat, which is basically,
bullshit.
I know. It pains me to say it as much as you guys have to hear it. Okay? But I think Crashy said something smart, which is basically that Omeda doesn't, they like, as much as the EA players matter, they don't really care. They like all of their eggs are in the free to play basket, right? Like however the game is, when they hit the point where they want to go free to play, Omeda has all their eggs in the basket of this game will take off when it goes free to play and we market it, right? So like EA for them is really just like working, but also they have servers open, you know? Like it's not really like they're really just working towards a certain point, and they just also happen to have some servers open that we can play on.
Yeah.
I think the biggest issue that has people kind of tainted in their opinion is a lot of people are like, why doesn't Omeda do this, and this to make the game better? And the answer is nothing. It's like, I've talked to Moomuse a bit, and he said that Omeda has a vision for the game and that they're confident in their vision of the game, but instead of saying, you know, why don't you guys have this and this? They don't say, we're going to have that eventually. They just don't say anything about it at all. And so it seems like a lot of time, even when people do give them feedback, it goes on to deaf ears. I know they read it, but it would be nice to have some sort of acknowledgement if they, you know, are planning on implementing things to make the game better.
I'll defend them a little bit here, because they have said in a lot of instances and a lot of different subjects, like, yeah, that's something we plan. We're not talking specifically with like Ace and Smokey and etc. But they've said that in, let's say, situations like the Predcast, where we have the full VOD and then we have shorts of the little moment and everything. But that doesn't mean the entire community
knows I will say Carrie did spill the beans in the Discord that they are making a new website that will have a lot of the FAQs, like an updated FAQ and a lot of things they're working on that should come out soon, TM, whenever that is. So they are working on it, but as of right now, it just feels like a lot of people give feedback and then some of it gets answered, but it never gets answered in any kind of official capacity. It's always kind of like in the back rooms of the forums, so to speak, or DMs, things like that.
All right, so Windu, I want to answer your question, but I also want to get some things in chat too, but also keep going off of my point, what I was getting at. So to answer your question of what point is critical, is the critical issue of how, once we start hemorrhaging EA players, where's that issue? What's that point? I would say close to fault level, right? Where fault was ending, like, because EA, okay, I said I'm not IT, which I'm not, right? So I'm a casual community gamer for the event, but you also get data points off of me, right? But I'm not IT in that situation. I'm not here testing, but you are getting test points off of me. So as long as we're still able to get data points off of the community to help progress the game where we need to get, we're still doing all right when considering early access. We don't need 3,000 players to get this, to keep this game going. That's not needed, right? As much as that would suck for if we get down to that low of level players, to the 200 current players, it would be a rough time. But the game could still continue doing what it needs to be doing because you're still getting the data points that are needed to keep the game progress. That's my answer to your question. Now, Horace asked, will a hero mastery system keep you more engaged when it comes to progress bars and unlocks? And they added me. I can't give you enough zeros behind the 1,000,000%. Yes. Just that alone, just something to have me grind and enjoy the game. I enjoy this game. I literally love playing this game. I could lose 40 matches in a row as long as I know that my progress bar for my mastery skin is going up. I'm going to have fun playing this game. That's where I'm at. Xygore said earlier that he wants them to work on the game loop. In my personal opinion, and I'm not the 1%er that he is, the game loop's good for me. I enjoy it. I enjoy doing this game in, game out. Like I'm all about it. What I don't enjoy doing is playing solo by myself. I'm always about the team. I got fucking Windu playing Mortal Kombat and not playing with me, and it sucks. I'm going to sit here and cry in corner for a minute. But then F6 says, how can you say all the eggs in free-to-play basket LOL, what the fuck? That literally makes no sense from business standpoint or a game development standpoint. I want to say LOL to that comment, F6. How does that not make sense? Free-to-play for a free-to-play basket. Free-to-play for a MOBA is standard. That is a standard situation for a MOBA. And if you go free-to-play, you get more people to come in. And if you get more people to come in, more people are going to buy the heroes. More people are going to buy the skins. More people are going to do that. More people are going to do this. More people are going to play the game. You get more people to do all that stuff, the game is doing better. I don't understand how that doesn't make sense.
Well, for the first 6 months, they consistently kept reiterating and re-mentioning free-to-play. Like, hey, when it comes to free-to-play, we're planning on doing this. When it comes to free-to-play, we're planning on doing that, right? Almost like a end of the rainbow sort of situation, right? Which them painting a lot of moments or a lot of situations in that picture, it'd be like, hey, like what the goal, like what the focus is console, the focus is free to play, the focus is this new UI so we can go to console, the focus is console so we can then move to free to play. They definitely have painted the picture like, hey, early access, we're learning from it, but the focus is getting to that free-to-play point, getting to that that mark that they have set for themselves, the goal that they have set for themselves. So they have been very clear from the beginning that that is kind of like their focus.
It's just like any entrepreneurial investment, like you have all this time to set yourself up and make your product and all this, but when the time comes to put it on market, like I wouldn't necessarily call it a coin flip, right? Because you can set yourself up for success, but that's the point when stuff, really starts to either go off or go wrong, Yep. Like free to play is when Pred essentially hits the market, like that's.
I would also just like to add, if their eggs aren't all in the free to play basket and they have eggs in the early access basket, those eggs are.
Where are they?
Where are they? We just haven't seen them.
Yeah. All right, let's get off of this topic.
You had another one, right?
Yeah, let's go on to you 1%ers. I want to ask you, what are your thoughts on the lack of active items or even more just actives in general in Predecessor? I'll let anybody jump into that one. Whoever wants to jump into that one first.
Do you want to start this, Xygore?
Yeah, I can start it. There's been, and I can pull up the Discord thread so I can read it after somebody else talks, but there's been a lot of talk about active items in the forums today and kind of the last week or so, and kind of in other forums and DMs and things like that for a while. Omeda's position is that the vast majority of players don't use active items, and I think Robbie even linked a tweet from an ex-rider talking about Deathfire Grasp being used by less than 1% of players in the game, and citing that as a reason for them not having actives. I would like to point out that Deathfire Grasp was removed in Season 5, which was almost 9 years ago. And at the time, Deathfire Grasp was an item that was actually counterintuitive because it was supposed to be an anti-tank item, but the good players quickly found out that you could use it to delete squishies even faster, and it was so unhealthy for the game it ended up getting patched out entirely. In League of Legends, to be recognized by Riot Games themselves as skill, you have to be in the top 10% of players. Last season, that meant you had to be like platinum or higher. This season, I think it's like platinum 2 or higher. But in my games, in those rankings, I can tell you with confidence that those top 10% players are all using their active items. Now, that still means 90% of the player base is not using those items, but it's kind of like one of those things where if you don't have the infrastructure for people to express themselves or express their skill and outplay other people, they're going to get the top level like we are, and we're going to be like, all right, this kind of sucks though.
The ceiling's too low is kind of what you're saying.
The ceiling is too low. If you look at things like, part of that's, the active items, part of that's the characters are really basic. But I think something needs to be changed, and saying, oh, we don't want to have active items because bad players won't use them. I've never seen a player complain, hey, this item has an active I can't take advantage of. You should remove it and give me a passive that I don't have to use instead. If most people aren't using the actives,
bro, you should have been on streams whenever Greystone got released and it wasn't a passive ult. You know how many people came in complaining? They're like, what do you mean I gotta press that shit?
And my background is from fighting games, and in fighting games, the response to that kind of rhetoric was always get good. It's been very weird in this game's community seeing that kind of thing and having that not be the go-to rebuttal to any kind of thing like that. Because look at like different fighting games. What would happen? I mean, remember in like Street Fighter like 2 or Street Fighter 1, people always complained that like grab was broken, and like there were gentleman rules. People wouldn't use grab in the original Street Fighter arcade games. Can you imagine playing Street Fighter or any fighting game today if grab wasn't in the game? Or playing a game like Super Smash Bros. Melee if wave dashing wasn't in the game, right? Wave dashing is a mechanic that's probably taken advantage of by all-time Melee players, less than 1% of the players, but it is integral to the competitive scene of the game because it allows for so much more skill expression. I think having more active items does not discourage players from playing the game as much as they think it does. If those players aren't using the items that they have access to, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing like Omeda likes to claim.
I think that maybe a more apt comparison would be like, because what you're talking about is whether or not some of the active items in the game, some of the like the crests in the game should be passives, right? And like activate automatically.
Yeah.
I think like a more apt thing, and this is just because Mortal Kombat 1 just came out, is like, what if Combo Breaker automatically activated, right? It would be, yes. it would drastically reduce.
What's Combo Breaker? I don't play Mortal Kombat.
Combo Breaker is when you get hit and you block, you can press a button and it hits the enemy and they go flying away from you so that you don't get infinity combo.
Yeah, you can waste meter bar basically,
you
and
can burn meter to blow someone away from you and interrupt a combo. But you have to do it like you have to time it properly while you're blocking. And if that was like automatic, if that was a passive thing that just happened when you got comboed, I mean, it would drastically change the game. It would lower the skill ceiling because bad players don't combo break, like it's just, it would reduce the skill ceiling. So I think if you were to make, crests, even just some of them into passives, I think it would take the low skill ceiling of Pred and actually lower it even more.
And the thing is too, like, what do you do if there's no actives for cleanse? Because we had a Legacy, I believe, used to automatically cleanse you below a certain amount of health. They removed it because it was terrible. And you have to be able to cleanse when you need to cleanse, because a lot of times if you get down to 30% and then cleanse, you're already screwed. Rampages behind you. You can't run away. Countess
you already been ripped her whole
kit. Yeah, you're already dead. So they can't remove the active items. And it seems to me like a lot of the high level games have just turned into the crest is your cleanse slot, which I don't think is very good. And especially when I play like support role, if you look at support roles in other MOBAs, the support roles are always going to be lower on gold. They're going to be lower on experience. They're not going to be as strong as other roles. They make up for that by having more utility. And part of the utility they get is with having actives on items, right? And Predecessor doesn't have that. And that's why support is easily my least favorite role, is because I feel like I'm falling asleep when I'm playing it because there's nothing to do.
There we go. That is the one role that I would be okay with actives being there. Like if you have support items and having them be actives, that's fine, because again, you're like, what else do I do? Like I literally just have my abilities. If once my abilities, like, or I'm not doing anything, like you got nothing besides your crest. I agree with that. But when it comes to, you looking at these games, and I said this in Discord today, and a lot of people hated on it, but I still think it's there. I don't play Mortal Kombat because, one, I don't want to sit there and do this fucking 8-button fucking combo and mess up on fucking button 7, and now I didn't do shit. Like it was just a waste. I just punched. That's all I did. And I was trying to do a knock-up or whatever it was, and it was a horrible. Like I don't want that. So the console situation, like I don't think. You look at League and you look at Dota, and it's like, oh, they have all these actives. Yeah, they're not on console either. Like these games are going to survive with your casual players. Your casual players are not going to sit there and do these Mortal Kombat combos to be able to like use their ability or use this active that they bought on this item.
Ironically, Mortal Kombat and games like that are the biggest on consoles where console players are at. It's definitely different.
Trying to aim and
exactly.
It's different, but
it's a slide scroll game. Like it's completely different than this, and this is like, this adds so much more to it. You know, you're third person, you're fucking 3D. There's things happening behind you. You got to turn around. Like it's not just, you know, it's completely different. Like it's.
Let me counter here, and I'll use Paragon as an example. Right. We had our active slots in Paragon, D-pad status, right? And if you really wanted to, as a support, as a carry, jungle, whatever, you could literally just do a full build with only passives. There were plenty of items that you could have a successful build full of passives, but there were also items that you could do actives. And you could be like, yo, maybe I don't want 4 fucking actives, or maybe I'm going to make a build that has 2 actives that I know I can use consistently. Like
you're not good enough to hit 4 buttons. You don't have to buy
the ability.
4 active items.
Yeah, the ability being there doesn't mean that everybody has to have a shit ton of items. A good example would be back in the Fault days. If you wanted to do a support build, every support item had an active. So then you would have like 5 or 6 fucking actives at one point and be like, I forgot what half of these motherfuckers do, bro. Like legit. But at the same time, if there's a variety of items, that would just be a more expansive shop. You could have the room and the availability for more active items, but don't have the necessity to use them. There should be an equal opportunity to do it without them. Go ahead, Xygore.
I have a couple questions for Bearded. The first question being, obviously, you know, not having a lot of actives is catered for a player more on your skill level. I promise I'm not trying to dig, right? But I want to ask you specifically because this again. I want his perspective.
You're good.
My question is,
I know where I'm at.
Do you or anybody that you play with on a frequent basis feel like having the active crests is a detriment to your gameplay experience?
No.
Do you feel like having more actives in the game would be detrimental to your gameplay experience?
I feel like having more actives would then just allow for other people to, because then there's counter plays. Like I can play it's the same thing. Like to me, having actives in a game is like a little 11-year-old that's able to build in Fortnite. I probably can shoot better than you and do better things than you, and then that's it. But because you can build a huge tower, like you automatically win. Like but because you're able to pop a few more actives than me, and then I'm actually able to do hit my abilities and do this. Like the actual core part of me as a hero in Predecessor, I can do what I'm supposed to do. But because you have a couple more actives, you are able to outplay me. That just doesn't make sense, just because it just adds more to it.
Let me add the caveat that most other competitive MOBAs that have a lot of actives like Dota or League, let's use as an example. League has mage items. One's called Hex Tech Rocket Belt or Arrow Pack or whatever it's called. There's a few different names for it. Which lets you press a button, you dash a short distance, and it sprays out like an AoE of damage, right? There's another item called Night Harvester, where when you hit somebody, it does an extra initial burst of damage. One of them has an active to it, one of them does not. They both do about the same amount of damage. One of them is essentially a passive alternative to the other's active. So it's like using the active will give you a little bit more outplay potential in 5% of situations. In every other situation, like to be in the top 95% of players, you probably, or top 5% of players, I should say, sorry, you probably wouldn't ever even have to utilize those active items. So the impact that they have on those lower level games is fairly negligible because you're going to be playing against players who also are not taking advantage of those actives. And if they are, they will soon be climbing out of your rank, if that makes sense.
That would be, in a perfect world, that would be completely fine with me. If that's how they're able to balance it, if you're like, that's something that I'm like, all right, we can work with that. Like I have, because if I'm building, right, and I'm getting better at the game to where I can see what they're building. All right, I need to build this, right? If I'm an ADC and I see that they have 3 tanks and they're building tanky, I got to build fucking Demolisher or Perforator or something, right? I know that I got to counter build against these people, right? But if I see, like, if I'm just going to get somebody, it's like, all right, well, they just built active items, like, I'm not that guy that is just like, all right, I'm going to sit here and do a Mortal Kombat combo and like, all right, got you. Like, it's bad enough as it is. Like, going to solo lane taught me to use my crest.
I was about to say, nobody's that guy.
I hardly ever use my crest.
Like, nobody's that person until you get there. Like, it is one of those things. Like, everybody at one point wasn't that person, and as everybody continues to grow and learn,
it's a skill check. If you add more buttons, it's simply a skill check.
I 100% it is. I'm just saying, your casual gamers in this game is going to survive on casual. This game is not going to survive on your 1% ranks.
Casual gamers are going to have a blast playing. Hold on, casual gamers are going to have a blast playing the game, and they'll never hit the 1 crest.
And you're right, but that's already an active they already have. So you're adding more actives. It's just like you're just making it even more challenging for these people. I'm complaining about these people not understanding how to play the game as it is, and we don't have active items. Like, I have a crunch that doesn't know how to jungle, and he's just going around taking CS from everybody else. And
yeah, but that's more of a player-based thing. Again, let's not conflict it here, because that is
a player base.
I know, but that's more of a player base thing, because if the casual player base was a player base of 10,000, you ideally would be surrounded by people at your skill level with your level of knowledge, as opposed to the current situation where there's a lot more of a mixed bag. You got individuals that are mid-tier of the ladder running into a master's game because they couldn't find enough people, right? So
I guess overall our biggest issue is the fact that we don't have enough items in this game. This game has had the same items that they've had since they released over 9 months ago. They haven't added.
Granted, a lot of them have changed, but they are the same items.
That doesn't mean shit, in my opinion. Like, all right, yeah, you've changed them because they weren't working with what they were currently as. That's all right. You fixed something that was broken. I'm not going to give you credit for adding another item when you didn't add another item. Like, we need, like, again, something that Fault was at least doing was they were adding, like, here we go, we've added, over this patch we've added 5 more items, here's your new item, like something, and that also gives us as community members that aren't IT, gives us something to, hey, we got a new item we can try out. I can't wait to try this out as an ADC. Like, oh man, the new ADC item, oh man, the new solo lane item. Like, we aren't getting that stuff, and that's something that we also need. Like, and this early access is the best place to test all that stuff. Let's get all these new items tested out and see. Again, like what you just said, we've had items that were changed, but so that this is the time to put a new item in. We might need to change it. At early access, we'll change it, so when free to play comes, this is our item.
So here are my last 2 thoughts, essentially.
Yep.
One, I think people often assume that giving an item an active ability will inherently make the item stronger than an item that does not have one. I think that's not really true. I think when you're creating a balanced item system, if you are giving an item an active, it should be taken account into the value or the strength of the item. If you give a
and the weakness
that has a 50% win rate, right? Like a balanced win rate and active, of course it's going to be stronger. So what you would do is you would lower the base stats of that passive item to account for the passive or the active. What a good active item itself should do is probably honestly be weaker than passive items in most situations, but allow the player to create situations with the active in which they can outplay their opponents, essentially. So having actives in the game isn't just a haha, I press this button and I do more damage than your items because I have an active. It's your items are probably stronger than mine, but I can use this active to create a situation in which I can outplay whatever you're going to try to do to me in order to get a leg up, essentially.
As I was mentioning earlier, you should be able to have an equally strong build with passives only. The difference being actives you choose when you activate it, which at that point you either killed that shit because you did good, or you got fucking mollywhopped because you pressed it at the wrong fucking time.
And one last thing I'd like to add, I think that MOBAs are inherently a very competitive and challenging game. The
100%.
skill floor to get into a MOBA is enormous. The skill ceiling to be good at a MOBA is even more enormous. I think trying to cater the competitive high skill mode to casual players is a mistake, and it will deter a lot of the players that would otherwise become very skilled and support your game at a high level, the level that people like watching content creators and things like that. And I think that there should be some sort of casual mode, like whether it's Smite's Arena or something else, that is then catered specifically for casuals that they can get into without having that massive barrier to entry. And I think that the competitive mode or the main 5v5 MOBA mode should be reserved for people who want to be more serious at the game.
Who was the first one? Somebody said that in chat. Who was the first one that said that? Was that Soul Reaper?
Reaper was talking about it.
Yeah, Reaper was talking about casual. Horace agreed, or didn't disagree. So I think it's what Horace said. I don't disagree. But yeah, I think a casual mode would definitely be huge in that situation. Because I agree with you. I have these crunches that are in my game that just need to play the arena of Smite. Like, just go play arena. Like that's something you're gonna be. That's the more game for you, right? And then I'll be the bottom end of the actual casual, but the still the casual ranked mode, right? That's where I want to be. Like I want to enjoy a rank. And somebody said that, like, somebody said that's where rank's going to come in, or his rank will separate that. But it's like, I don't want, like, either way, just that's where casual with ranked would sort out, the more players. My biggest thing with this is me personally, I'm okay if they add more items and they have actives. I played games that have actives. I played Paragon. I played Fault. I played, PTO when they had actives, right? Because that they came out with it and they had their active items. I've played these games and I can play them and still enjoy them and do that. I just want the game to succeed. All right. Paragon being an example of a game that didn't succeed. Fault being an example of a game that didn't succeed. And they all had these actives, right? I'm not saying that the actives are the reason they didn't succeed, but the part of the reason they didn't succeed is because their casual base was hemorrhaging. Is there a casual base hemorrhaging because of the actives? Is there a casual base hemorrhaging because they didn't have the extra the mode or whatever? I don't know. There's a bunch of things going into it, but I don't want to put things into a game that's not good for casuals if it's not going to help the game at this point. That's where I'm at. That's okay. If this game already had the Smite 10,000 players playing it, put as many actives in the game. I don't care. Like, we got the player base we need, but like right now, like, we're hurting.
A bigger problem to casual is putting them up against somebody like Pinzo or Xygore.
True.
Right. So Pinzo and Xygore need to quit playing the game.
He said, "Get him out."
I am very well aware that me being the top 1% of players, I am the outlier in most of my games rather than the people I'm playing with who are much lower skilled than me. I honestly feel like for the health of the game, it would be better if I stopped playing and ruining 9 other people's games because the matchmaking system can't balance games with me in them. Like, that's honestly how I feel sometimes. I would also like to add that I think that 5v5 MOBAs are not good games for casuals. I think the reason that League does so well, honest to God, is because they have a bunch of sexy waifu skins that they release every patch that keeps people interested in, because it's like low-key FAP material, and that keeps their casual male player base invested, right?
I'll throw on there.
It's 2023. You can't just include the males in that.
I'll throw in there that Leagues has a lot of success because of their game modes. Like, what was that? 2v2v2v2 arena game mode? That shit was fire. That shit was fun as hell. By all means. People love playing ARAM.
Best League game mode I've ever played.
Bro, you better be quiet. Throw some respect at Twisted Tree Line. But
I mean, PTO just came out in the for this last week, a little bit here for the closed beta test. They did the Red Moon map, right, which is their ARAM map. Mm-hmm. And me and Windu played their ARAM. Their ARAM map is actually pretty fun, right? You get a couple people around your area, around your level, whatever, just to go in and have a good time. Like, that would be a great time. So, and I know Pred has come out and said that they're not going to be looking at their casual mode is going to be not ARAM. And that's fine. But something for the casual players just to have fun and sink their teeth into and to continue playing the game is going to be huge.
I think they should have rotating game modes. They should have ARAM for 2 months and then Arena for 2 months, and then like Earth, like Ultra Rapid Fire, where everybody has like 90% cooldown reduction. You just spam abilities. They should have that for 2 months.
That'd be so stupid, but so fun, bro.
Because according to Riot, when they release a new game mode, the interest spikes for about 2 weeks to a month, and then it kind of is dead and nobody plays it. So I think ARAM has been consistent, and Arena might be consistent for Smite. But I think the best approach is to have rotating game modes for casuals, just so there's always something new to keep them playing.
The ADHD I was talking about, bro.
I disagree with that, because that actually gives you the whole absence makes the heart grow fonder, right? Situation, right? Like, so it's like, oh man, I love ARAM map, right? When the ARAM comes up, I love playing it, and then it's like they take it away. It's like, oh man, I can't. Oh shit, ARAM's coming up. ARAM's next month, guys. I can't wait for ARAM. Something like that. You're gonna have that situation. So that's actually not a bad philosophy in that situation.
I love when Ultra Rapid Fire comes around, because I play the game of whenever somebody dies, I just take a shot. And then, or like a sip, depending on how kill heavy the game is, and games get a lot of fun really quick. So that's why I like her whenever it comes around.
Staring at the ceiling, like my dude's lit over there. But
there you go.
All right, so I don't want to necessarily keep going in circles too crazy on the subject, because we know player base would fix a lot.
Already kind of converted me in a sense, but it was like, I just don't want. My point is, I just don't want it to be a hindrance for the casuals. Right now, we don't have a casual player, but we don't have a casual game mode for the players to play. We only have this one game mode. So if we make it harder for them to understand and to get to, it's just going to be even worse for the game overall.
Well, I think part of that probably is the small player base. I think once you have more players, you're not going to be playing against me using 5 active abilities. You should be playing against people of your skill level who are also probably going to be forgetting their actives, right? So in a normal world, you shouldn't have to worry about that anyway, because the people that you're playing against are going to be as skilled as you.
Right, but we're not in a normal world right now. Right. We're not like that's like this is something like.
How long is the current season?
Actives for 6 months to a year if they decided they were going to add them in.
I was going to say, how long is the current season? 5 months?
7 months.
This one's going to be more than that. Yeah, this one's going to be longer.
April.
So this one
6 times 5.
The current season?
We got 5 heroes. We got 5 heroes. That's going to be 6 weeks long. 6 times 5. That's 30
oh,
weeks,
that's true. I didn't even
plus 6 weeks. The next hero won't launch until 6 weeks after the last one.
Right, that's what
6.5 more.
Well, that's 36.
6 times 5 is 30. We have 5 heroes.
Well, but Xeris launched a month ago, and season 3 started a month after Xeris launched. So add 6 weeks to that, because season 4 won't launch until 6 weeks after their original hero.
I'm only going to count season 3, the start of season 3.
What he's saying is when the last hero kicks in, they still have a time frame of the last hero being there until
the last hero, the next
season. So he's saying there's the tail end is still gonna linger before the new season kicks in. That's what he's saying.
When he pulled Xeris into it, I literally went to season 2. I'm like, that's what I do with this. All right,
so
you're right.
The current timetable is beginning of April is when season 3 is set to end.
Also,
if everything goes normal.
Let's not forget, Omeda said they will announce the end of season 3 when it gets closer to that. So season 3 might even go longer.
TBD.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah. I mean, season 1 got extended. Season 2 got extended.
There's a chance.
Just by all the seasons we've had so far, they've all gotten extended. So 100% chance season 3 is going to get extended.
See, I thought that's why they added an extra month.
Yes. No.
Let's label this a different way. If the hero rate keeps going as it's going, it's going to take, I think, like 16 months to get all of the original heroes into the game with their additional Omeda exclusives, right? That's a long time to have all the characters back.
Yeah.
Well,
so Lestron Point says real quick, I want to say this because it would go back to a little casual mode. Lestron says they said they have a new game mode that hasn't been done in a MOBA space that they are very excited about. Robbie said this on the Predcast.
Yeah, but that easily could just be domination. Domination hasn't been done in a MOBA space.
I don't think
like
it had come out,
but it has.
When that Predcast happened either.
Hasn't domination been done with King's Hunt?
2v2.
Whoa, but the argument
domination game mode.
The argument could be made
as well.
Okay, so anyway, you get what I'm saying. It could be a game mode that we're familiar with, just maybe not done in the MOBA space in itself.
Give us Halo big team battle with vehicles, but in a MOBA.
Give us CTF. CTF. Give me CTF.
No.
What is CTF?
I don't know what you're spelling.
Capture the flag.
Oh. That would actually be hilarious.
People
Gideon broken. Confirmed.
3 teams. 3v3v3. Capture the flag.
Gideon and Miro are banned. Confirmed. So hold on real quick. The reason why I was mentioning the season length is we don't hear anything about free to play in the current roadmap, right? Granted, under promise, over deliver, but we don't hear any of it. In my mind, that means free to play is off the table season 3, maybe season 4 moving forward. In my mind, not impossible.
It would be a whole season itself like that. I don't think it would. They would put console and free to play together in the same.
Like they would make that its own season. The start of it
is correct. They said in the blog post that the plan was to go free to play at the end of season 3.
Right, which would be season 4.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes. Right.
So let's say 5 months from now, like 5 to 7 months from now, whatever. Like the every 3 weeks or whatever, every 6 weeks. So I'm trying to word this carefully so I don't piss off anybody behind the scenes too. So let's just say 6 months from now, right? If 6 months from now is when they're aiming for free to play, if 6 months from now is their trajectory of, hey, we're gonna hit this shit hard, like this is what we've been planning for, homies, like this is what we're going for, are they not? What should let me phrase it as a question, so I don't. Let me do it this way. What should they do from your guys' point of view up to those 6 weeks that they haven't been doing already, as far as improving everything? Because they're not focused on growth, not yet. They're kinda focused on retention. They're working on it, you know, affinity systems and such. What should they do? Should they, quoting Crashy, should they just focus on hiring, expediting the process? Should they?
I think that's a given.
Yeah.
I think hiring isn't going to be a bad thing, right? Even if you were to hire somebody that doesn't work out, you still were able to get something out of them, right? They're going to do some work for you. So hiring isn't going to be a bad thing. So hiring is always going to be a positive. Expanding your team is going to be a good thing, right? But I think it's one, we already know Hero Affinity is coming, so that's one thing I've been saying that needs to happen. A new tutorial to help that. I get right now the people I'm playing with, that's going to happen, but to limit the amount and what is happening, right? Like Like Xygore, I had a crunch that literally was a jungler crunch that went from dual lane to red buff to dual lane to red buff to dual lane to red buff the whole game. Like didn't even come over across the mid, didn't even come over across to into blue buff. I'm not asking you to come gank me, right? I know I'm a solo.
Sounds like a smite gamer to me.
If I get a gank, then that's just amazing, right? I understand that. I'm not asking for a gank, but at least come get your fucking blue buff. Get yourself some, some actual CS going. No, dual lane, red buff, dual lane, red buff. That's all he did, and that's because they don't know what they're doing, right? And I'm asking for that floor to be raised a little bit with the tutorial. Says like, hey, when you come in, we're going to expect you to. When you come in, you do this tutorial. You're gonna be at this level at the least. Right now, that level is very fucking low, and I want it to be raised.
You have to consider how many employees Omeda has. Omeda has 70 employees right now, approximately. RGSA says they have 20 people working on console, right? Mm-hmm. That leaves 50 employees left. Probably at least 5 of them are executive level, like RGSA, Sergeant Smokey, whoever else is behind the scenes that we don't know about, right? And then you have to consider you have departments like balance, you have the online matchmaking system that they're allegedly working on, you have sound design, you have skin design, you have making new characters, and like you also have people like Joey, like internal testing. They've got to have at least a dozen other departments and only 50 employees spread between them, right? So how many employees are actually working on designing new characters? Like
probably a handful of people per section working on something,
right?
Unless they wear multiple hats.
Like realistically, I got a lot of flack on Twitter for saying that making an animation for a new character isn't really that hard, because I don't think it really is that hard, but I think that they have a very limited number of people and they can only do, like, it's hard for them to get everything done at the same time because they're limited on resources, which is fine. They're not going to come out and say that because they can't as a company, right? But I think that's likely the case, and I'm fine with content being slower as long as they're doing everything that they can to hire more people, which is likely. But at the same time, it's like, it's also where it is, and it's just not enough, right? So that's kind of how I feel about that.
So I personally think they could have avoided a lot of these conversations if they had just posted a little bit more throughout the week. I think a lot of these conversations are popping up, or maybe got heightened a little bit worse than they should have been because of the silence over the week. Go ahead.
So for me to finish your answering, and then Penzo can answer. So again, the Hero Affinity, which we know is coming, the tutorial, which is going to help grow the casuals, which we're at, but I also think we need that casual mode as well. So bringing that casual mode in is just going to help grow. PTO, their player base grew when they had their Red Dawn map or whatever, which is the area red map, right? Everybody went back to it, or new players came and played it because they had that. Now, they didn't advertise it very well, and it wasn't very, I said on FTM this week. I was on the FTM channel show. Go check that out. It's on Jelly Needs' YouTube channel. Very good show.
I did see that.
And we talked about it. And FTM doesn't on PTO. They don't show you like, hey, click this button. This is our new mode, right? So Pred needs to learn from that and actually just have it show.
Are you sure?
Casual game mode. Here you go. This is what we want you to be. What minute am I sure?
I loaded up PTO and there's like 1 billion pop-ups when I try to play that game. Like
there's pop-ups. There's pop-ups, but there's not nothing to tell you. Literally, it's a little button at the at the bottom that you hit to click the new map. Yeah, that's it. That's all it is. And if you don't know what you're doing, you literally have no clue where it's at. Like we did the same thing with PC. It's on. We thought
it wasn't available.
We didn't learn that they didn't learn from their mistake on PC, and they did the same thing with console right now. So it's only on console right now.
Yeah. What is the thing with PTO where they have auto aim? Were like dev tools left on? I heard conflicting.
No, they put I don't know. They put aim assist. They put aim assist into the game on purpose with a slider 0 to 10, and basically it increased the radius, and everything inside the radius would get shot. But 10 would be the size of the whole screen. So at 10, it was basically aimbot. You could be looking off to the side and still be getting last hits, still be hitting the hero, etc. And
gotcha.
So that's what I'm saying. So put a casual mode in, but obviously advertise it better than what other people have been doing it. That's to me is what would fix or what would answer Windu's question. I do want to point out that it was said. It was pointed out to me that it's not what was said about season 3 being season 4 being the end, but like it literally to me, I don't know. I'm gonna read it how it's said, and you guys tell me what you think, because that's how I read it. Season 4 and beyond. Season 3 is planned to be the last early access season in the format. That doesn't necessarily mean that we will we'll move out early access at the end of the season, but we do expect that the season 3 things will be different. More information on this will be shared towards the end of the season. And this is what, again, another thing that I pointed out on FTM. They say that we are going to under-promise and over-deliver. So you use the word promise, but we're also, Inthar's going to be the same person to tell you that a season 3 roadmap isn't a promise, which is I'm on that map. I'm on that same situation. But the way that Predecessor's working or Omeda's working, you tell me that season 3 is planned to be the last early access season. That's what it's going to be. Format. And that is the conception, that's the perception that the community is going to see. That is perception's reality. This is what's going on.
Yeah, I will say, when you were reading
it, the problem.
When you were reading it and I was just listening, I was like, didn't they just kind of say something and then to kind of take 2 steps back, take it back at the same time? Like, this is what we're planning, but it might not be that way. And that's okay if they're talking about, you know, like, say like a hero release or something. But for me, something is as big as end of early access and free to play. I almost would, again, I would either prefer a hard timeline or don't give me a timeline, right? Like, give me something concrete or not at all, because that well, so
Intharth won't get a kick account, so he won't comment in chat, so nobody can read this. But he says it in the chat. He says, "Is it perspective to just not read the last 3 words?" No, it's that's the thing, is that this is the community and this is what's going to happen. I'm not completely against you, Intharth, but I know by following a lot of these early access games that the community is only going to pay attention to what they want to pay attention to, right? If all the last season 1 roadmap, season 2 roadmap, they both had a description, what's the word? A disclaimer. Thank you. A disclaimer on there that said, this is a plan, not a guarantee. So it's not a promise, right? But everybody took it as a promise. They didn't fulfill their promises on season 1. They didn't fulfill their promises on season 2. Even Omeda said that we didn't fulfill our promises on the last 2 seasons when they weren't promises. It's perception, not reality. That's what is happening, and that is the issue.
A good example of that would be, there's still plenty of Twitter posts out there of people saying, all right, season 3 is gonna start, console's gonna be available, let's fucking go. Like, people were just like, yo, console's coming on the 12th, let's go, I'm excited. Like, a whole bunch of posts, and it was just like, it's not just the fact that they misunderstood, it's the fact that they're sharing that misinformation, right? And at the end of the day, granted, it'll happen here and there, blah blah blah, like, you can't really control that. You can try and minimize it as much as possible. And I will say, as far as that scenario goes, I almost wish it was less legal jargon, right?
Yeah.
And a little bit more direct.
Let's also go. Let's combine what Soul Reaper says in chat. Let's combine what Soul Reaper says in chat, and then also what they said in their blog post. Soul Reaper says, "Plan to be the end of the means. Plan to be the end means that it's the goal, and if you deviate from the plan, that means something has gone wrong, in my opinion." True. And I don't disagree with him, but they also said if that's the goal and that's the plan, they also plan to underpromise and overdeliver. So that means that they should, if anything, like season 3, should be almost guaranteed to be the end of the season.
People don't let the political underpromise overdeliver, like, politicians speak fool you, right?
Well, yeah, because
if they're promising they're going to underpromise and overdeliver.
they're promising they're going to over deliver.
But
I'm just using it to make a point.
Hold on, I'm gonna dig into that too. Let's say we're smack down in the middle, right? They're gonna under promise, over deliver. Nice, right? So we should expect more than what we were told.
The over deliver,
right? We should expect more than what was expected, right? But then at the same time, you're gonna come out and say, but just in case it might last longer. So now it's like, wait, are you still under promising and trying to over deliver? Or are you trying to throw a caveat now that even though you told me this, that shit might go longer, right? Like, pick your poison. Are you gonna tell us that, hey, it might take longer and that's okay, which is a-okay, right? Just let me know, rip off the band-aid. Or are you saying, this is the goal and we're gonna try and do it sooner? Don't give me both messages, because I'm like, well, is it gonna be before the end of the season? Is it gonna be at the end of the season? Is it gonna be after the end of the season? Like, at this point, I don't fucking know based off of what they've been saying. Yep. I can guess.
That there you go. And that's really the point I was putting across.
Bro, it still kills me, because again, I don't think everybody in this podcast would be as hypercritical. I don't think anybody on the Discord, Twitter, social media, etc., would be as hypercritical this week if there would have been just a little bit more follow-up, a little bit more distractions, a little bit, hey guys, by the way, here's a Seraph icon that you can earn, kind of like they did with Greystone, right? Just something random, community event. Here's our progress on the community event. Some sort of fluff, flair, sleight of hand, like, hey, we don't want you to focus so much on all this shit over here. Look at this hand. Like, that's what companies do. And I'm a-okay with companies using tactics like that to keep the community engaged. And he's like, hey, stop looking at all our red flags. We're working on them. Every company does that, by all means. I'm really just still scratching my brain at the situation of no posts on social media like Twitter in the last week. Because like you guys said, it lets people fester, lets people think. They start kind of going back and forth. And then when they start getting into that environment, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be in a negative direction. As opposed to, bro, I can't wait to see what's happening. They're quiet for a week. That shit's going to be spicy next week. Possibility, but nobody's going down that road.
Right. Yeah, I mean, they announced that the code name for the next hero was Emerald, right? Which is what we kind of guessed from the little teasers they gave us. They could give us something just to kind of keep teasing us along with the next original hero. Right. They could give us something to kind of tease us to the next hero. They could give us something that could tease us to the solo lane hero solo lane hero that's coming up. Anything. Like they could literally tease season 3 all the way through here.
I would have loved that they made a Twitter post that literally says, we have to confirm just for Pinzo, not mine. Like, even just something like that, right? Character is not mine. Even something like that, be like, aha, talking point. Let's go. Completely focus on something different, not focused on this as
Speaking of that, I need you to tell me, what do you think it's mine, or do you think it's a kind of a claw pinching thing? What do you think it is?
Yeah, so
me?
No.
Xygore?
Xygore and Windu, but neither one of them have
Xygore.
Sure.
I think it's a backpack. You know those like funhouse things? They have those Tesla coils where it's the 2 rods that go up and the lightning.
You're on the jetpack train, bro.
And it makes like a sound when it goes up, right? So I think it's like a jetpack, and then it has like lightning. It can shoot out between those coils. Maybe, I don't know. It could be like wings that extend out. I don't know. Maybe it folds up.
Kind of like Gideon using his portal on his back.
I mean, there are clearly straps to come off for the shoulders and the side. It could be straps for a mask.
What? All right.
But
I actually agree with Pinzo
the
more
top
than
of a staff. It could be a bead chain on the top of a staff.
All right.
Maybe.
Anyways, Windu, what do you think?
Bro, I just keep thinking of Khepri from Smite, because here's the thing. We know that they've grabbed this. I'll explain it. It's a hero.
All right.
So we know that they take an inspiration from other heroes and other MOBAs, right? We know that in genres in general. We know that they've adapted kits from other heroes as well, right? The theming, etc. Like by all means, it's very hard to be 100% true original in this day when the last 20 years of the internet has literally saturated everything. At this point, something's going to copy somebody. It's very hard to be original. Let's get that out there. But at the end of the day, Khepri in Smite is a support, just like what we're getting. Khepri is a beetle-like support that has a dash forward that can pull somebody backwards if you catch him, right? He's got little things like a resurrect ultimate. He's got a little AoE dot attack that he throws that forward with a debuff and whatever, blah blah blah, different kits. But when I see a big claw, like, and I do think it looks more like a mask face sort of ordeal, just because of sheer size ratio as far as the little claw looking parts to the small portion, I do think that's more of a actual beetles. Because if you look at beetles are fucking like, they're actual, what are they called? Tusk? Horns? I don't fucking know. Yeah, pinches. I don't know the anatomy of a beetle. But they're disproportionate by a large amount compared to, well, I guess depending on the type of beetle, right? But they're usually disproportionate, and so all the cool beetles that we see. So at the end of the day, I think that's literally just going to be some sort of quad. What do you call it? Quadrupedal? I don't know. I don't know the
quadrupedal.
Quadrupedal. I think it's going to be a quadrupedal character walking on all fours, beetle-like, that might have a pull like Khepri does. Quote me on it.
If it's a beetle, why is the season named Harness the Storm?
Bro, well, but that's the thing. Like, imagine if it were a beetle based off of momentum, and that's why it's electric like Richter or some random shit like that. That's why it's all mechanical and shit. It's gonna harness the electricity based off of the more assists you get, the stronger you become. Like, who knows, bro? Why the fuck was Shinbi in the same season as Kira? Right? Like,
well, because the season was called The Hunt Begins. That's why. Come on, we've already deciphered that the season name only goes towards the original hero.
Okay, then
I'm
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm firmly in the camp that Omeda just needs to release as many hot characters, male or female, as possible they can, because Riot has said that their attractive characters sell more skins and drive more engagement than their monster characters do. And like, it's a sad truth that horniness is what makes games succeed, but it is the truth, and I want this game to succeed, so I think they should be making me some hot e-girl characters.
I mean, that is why Mangoose doesn't play any of the Parazombies anymore. He's off doing his own little horny thing.
Well, I think it speaks volumes that Mangoose made videos for years on games that didn't exist, and then as soon as he came out, they were so boring that he stopped.
Fair.
What?
No, he's saying Mangoose created content for the possibility of a game for years. Oh. And then the moment that these games are out, he stopped. Which, by all means, a lot of people are running it. Can we talk about that for a second? The fact that a lot of people, especially now, PTO on console, Predecessor is going to come to console. We've been talking a lot about expectation versus reality. The hype that these games, let's use Predecessor specifically. Predecessor had their first closed behind the scenes test that was being able to be shown to the world April 2019. From April 2019 until now, there's been a lot of hype around Predecessor. There's been a lot of people hoping and waiting for Predecessor to come to console. There's been a lot of expectations being built up. What do you guys think is going to happen when, let's just say, 10,000 console players get their hands on Predecessor? Do you think the expectation is going to meet reality?
Are you saying 10,000 console players are going to play the day that it comes to console? Is that
that's the scenario? That's the scenario.
Okay. Yeah, it's scenario.
Are they going to felt like their expectations have been met? Or is the reality of the situation going to bring them down and be like, damn, bro, not what I thought? Even though it still may be good.
Majority's going to be no. Majority's going to be no, because, and the problem is the majority of those people that are going to come and play this game are the people that played Paragon on PlayStation. And those people that played Paragon only remember Paragon for the good. When Paragon wasn't as good as what everybody remembers it being. Like, everybody remembers it being this amazing game when it had its own issues. Like, obviously, if it was the amazing game that you are telling me that it was, it wouldn't have died.
Dude, right? It was so bad in hindsight.
Yeah, if you go back and actually watch some of the stuff, or if you can remember actually playing some of the stuff, there was issues with that game, and they're going to want the Paragon, the perfect Paragon that they played. That's what they're going to want, and they're going to play this game, and it's not going to be that. So the majority of those people are going to have an issue with that. Now you're going to have people like me that I'm more of a like glass half full kind of guy, that I'm going to be like, I'm so glad that I'm playing Paragon again. And you're going to have those people, and those people are going to help make this game succeed. And then you're going to have the new people that are like, hey, it's a new fucking game on PlayStation. I can't wait to play it. Oh my gosh, it's better than Genesis. I'm excited. And here you are playing it.
I'm with Reaper in chat. I think that
you can't side with Reaper. You guys are like rivals.
Listen, as much as I dislike Reaper vehemently, I hate that guy. As much as the dude, because we're both Smite players, we tend to actually agree on some things. And one of those things is that Paragon was like kind of a mediocre game in my opinion. All right, I didn't play a lot of it, to be fair, but like it had a lot of issues, and I think that a lot of those issues are still in Pred. Like, I don't think a lot of those issues are solved. And so I think that if you're a Paragon player who's like, oh, this is the new wave Paragon, this is going to be great, and then they walk in and it has the same issues as Paragon, then they're going to walk out again. And I don't know, like, as far as hardcore Paragon fans, they're already playing on PC, right? Like, you're seeing the hardcore people, right? You're seeing what's left of them. 7,000 people played day one of Pred. Now 800 people play at peak daily, right? That's
so just to kind of throw Steam numbers out there, it is a little bit on the higher side. Steam numbers alone show that over the last 3, 4, 5 months, been averaging around like 1,100, 1,200 peak, and then actual average numbers of players on a consistent basis is about 500. And that's Steam alone, not including Epic. Just kind of throwing a couple stats out there so we can keep it.
I would like to use this to segue into heroes like Sereth, Zarus, and Kira that have been released more recently. And then obviously Kira is just an Omeda original. I think that Sereth is a really good example of what a hero should be. Sereth is obviously, her Q isn't very much inspired by Master Yi. The problem I have with Omeda's other two original heroes is they feel like worse versions of characters that exist in other MOBAs. Whereas when I play Master Yi in League of Legends, I feel like I'm playing a worse version of Sereth, because I think Sereth's kit is a more realized version of the kit, and she's much more fun to me. When I play Zarus, it makes me want to go play Dota and play Mars, or play League and play Pantheon, because in League, Pantheon gets level 6, he goes and ults to the bot lane, he fucks him up, and then he carries the game. He's like the ultimate Chad character, and Zarus is very much like not that. He feels almost clunky to use, and he doesn't really have a good aesthetic behind him to back him up. And Kira feels kind of the same way. Her aesthetic is kind of middling. And when I play her, I wish I was playing Samira from League of Legends, because I think that Samira is the definitive version of that kind of character. And going forward, I hope Omeda keeps in mind that when they make characters, they need to make characters that make people want to play their game, and not think, I wish I was playing this character in another MOBA that this is clearly inspired off of, but is better. Because that's the vibe I get when I play a lot of the characters in this game. I guess the succinct way of putting it is, if you're going to copy a character from another MOBA or be inspired from it, it better be the definitive version of that character, or you should just not bother.
I mean, that's a fair point, because we're gonna have very similar characters, but it's one of those things, like, whenever a similar character gets introduced, like let's say for example, they decide to give us an on-hit AP carry. I'll use Smite, Soul, Olorun, for example, right? If they're going to give us something like that, they got to make sure that, yo, this feels way better than that. Because realistically, at the end of the day, that mindset that you have, it coming from other mobile players, they're going to compare. Like Pinzo and Soul Reaper, they're not going to be able to help it when they see a kit that looks like Smite. They're going to be like, I'm comparing it to Smite. And then the conversation comes in of which felt better. Did they do justice? Is this the better kit, right? So I'm 100% with you on that. Let me ask you, do you think it's easier to execute that on a character like Seraph, where they had to just tweak the Q and the rest of the kit was kind of there?
I mean, I think it's easier to execute on their original characters because they can make the character however they want to make it, right? It's harder for them to do it on epic characters because they're somewhat bound to what the character wants to be. You don't want to have the situation where, what's a good example? I guess Aatrox in League is a very well-loved character now, but when he first was reworked, he was vastly different from his original iteration, and a lot of the original Aatrox players stopped playing him, and they called him BB-Trox for a while instead of Aatrox because they just felt like he was like a less fun, less what they wanted to play kind of character. And so Omeda does have their hands tied kind of a little bit in that regard. And you've seen on the forums, a lot of people have complained that they miss her old Q or whatever, even though I think the old Q was just poor character design. I've also seen a lot of rhetoric about, Seraph's kit is way more overloaded than a lot of the other kits in this game, which 100% it is, but that's a good thing. One of the number one complaints with this game is that the characters are super bland and boring. Well, if you don't want bland and boring characters, they have to start adding more complicated characters somewhere. And when they do that, don't complain about it, because then you're sending them the wrong message and they're going to start releasing like boring characters again, which we don't want.
100%.
So I think we want as many overloaded comparatively to other characters in this game kits as we can possibly get to make the game more interesting. Because right now, characters like Sparrow or characters like Rampage or Grux that are like very binary, like very like we have our one win condition kind of thing. Yeah, they're flat characters. They're not fun to play because if you can't do that one thing they're designed to do, you have zero agency and it's just not fun. So
I will say,
I mean, and that's 100% true. And this coming from me as a non 1%er. If you miss a Rampage rock, your kit, the rest of your kit's just kind of
you're not playing a character anymore.
Yeah, right. It's like a Richter without hooks.
Rampage isn't the character.
And when I play Seraph, I've been playing Seraph a lot lately. The last 3 days or whatever, I've been playing her, and I've been trying to play her solo lane. Because obviously being a solo main, that's where I want to play her as. I understand her passive is definitely better in the jungle. I'm just not good at jungle currently. So I've been playing a lot of solo, and it just hasn't working out. So I've been playing jungle just so I can kind of do, because right now I'm so low in my MMR that I'm playing with people that I know that I'm better than. So that the only way that I can help either do better is either play jungle or play ADC to help carry the game. If I play solo, I can't carry the game the way I want to. So I switch over to jungle and I've been playing her. But either way, my whole point of the whole situation is I love Sarah's kit in the fact, like her Q, whether it be Master E or not, I've never played Master E and never touched him, never seen any gameplay on him. I know nothing of this guy.
Or like Xena Ultimate, just to give an example.
Right, I know Xena's Ultimate, right, and it's also Kalari's Ultimate or whatever in PTO. I think they almost have the identical situation, but I know the reference to Master E because of the FTM Discord, and it's been brought up a lot, and like I don't have an issue with it. I don't have an issue with Kira. The only issue I have with Kira being a lookalike character is because she's a 1-for-1 of a HOTS character that Mangoose brought up, and I can't remember who it was. Somebody
Vala.
else was able to, Vala. There you go. She's like a 1-for-1 for Vala, right? And that's the issue I have. I don't have an issue with Xeris because Xeris is like he has this of this person, this of this person, and this person. So he's a mix, right? He's primarily Pantheon that I've heard. Again, I know nothing of Pantheon because I don't play League of Legends. But so I guess like people see like a couple things out of him and they, hey, that's Pantheon. But he also has this and whatever, a couple different things. I'm okay with that. But with Sarah, I love playing as her because of her Q. Like when I'm playing solo lane and I see that a Grux is coming up to me and he's trying to double pain me, if I pop my Q, bam, his double pain does nothing to me. I'm able to cancel out a lot of damage that depending on who you're playing against. Like you see something happen, you pop your Q, you basically like it reminds me of Genesis. Actually, there's a hero that was a grub, and his ultimate was he would enter inside you and do damage inside you, like he was like a parasite, right? And he would do damage while he's inside of you, and then if he kills you, there was a bench, he got a benefit, right? But anyways, it kind of reminds you of that, because you kind of go invisible, like you're like, hey, bam, you're doing this thing, and none of that damage happens to you, and that adds a lot of skill expression, in my opinion. And I think that's something that some of these heroes that Predecessor currently has don't have, that certain skill expression that you're able to use. And then you have the escape ability, but you also have the CC ability. It's a soft CC, right? It's a slow. It's not an actual root or a stun or a knock-up, you know, but you have a CC and you have an escape, or you have an engage. Either way, how you want to look at it. Her kit, I agree with Xygore. It is up there. Like, it has almost everything you want in it, but you want that. You give me more heroes that have that, you know. And these, you know, the Greystones and the Chimeras are going to be your entry level heroes for your bronze and your silvers and you know, some golds to be able to play as. But you got to have heroes like Sereth and whoever are the new heroes coming on that are going to be your higher level heroes, that if you're able to play this skill level, you're going to go higher.
Well, so you bring up an interesting point about, you know, Kira being a copy of a HOTS character and Xeris being a mix of League characters and stuff like that, right? Do you guys think, this is something I've been meaning to ask for a while, but we finally got to it. Do you guys think that it's do you think there's issues with them pulling so much from these top-down MOBAs? Like,
no,
just because of the way that the game is played. Like, no. If you're pulling stuff from a top-down MOBA, do you think it limits how much you can really use the 3D element? Like, do you think that you could, like, easily enough take a character from League and, like, essentially copy the kit, right, and put it into Predecessor using that third dimension?
So I think that they could innovate in that regard. When I first heard about Xygore, I saw leaks of him like months and months before he came out. I was told that he played like Pantheon. In my mind, I thought that we were going to get Pantheon's ultimate, where he channels, jumps up into the sky, throws his spear on the ground, and then crashes down and like ruins everybody's day. I thought we were going to get a third-person version of that, where we'd fly up and then pick where we land on the map, and that would have been so cool visually.
Would have been sick.
That'd be cool.
Thor,
like like a Thor or Apollo. Yeah.
And right. So it feels like maybe that's just the character's not living up to the expectations I had in my head of it. But that's a perfect example of a League character that's in a top-down MOBA that would be just so much cooler visually in a third-person MOBA, just because you get like it's almost like you're more immersed in the character because it is 3D. And I don't think
that's kind of my point.
Really limited that way.
I mean, looking at Kira, her in a three-dimensional game, her kit is flat. She could be a smite character, right? She doesn't do anything in the third dimension that is special. She can auto attack up, I guess, but every character can do that, right? She literally turns into a bird on her dash. Why can't she dash upwards?
Why can't Seth dash upwards? He's a ghost.
He's not a ghost.
That's a like a Grim Reaper. Kira literally turns into a bird, bro. I mean, come on, let her dash upwards. It's a short dash anyway.
No, I mean, I'm okay with you changing to make these kits to be more adaptive to third person. I'm not against that at all, Pinzo. But to answer your question, no, that doesn't hinder us. And the reason I'm saying it doesn't,
I think it opens up the opportunity.
How many players? What does the player base League of Legends have? How many concurrent players do they have?
I don't fucking know, dude.
Right, but give me what do you think the number is?
Probably a few 100,000.
Yeah, concurrent's got to be at least like 120,000, something like that.
So if we can take 20,000 of those players and like, hey, we can give you your character in a third person. You can play that character you enjoy. Come play that character a third person and enjoy it like an actual game, like, you know, not just top down. You can come play that character third person. How would that not interest people?
Well, it needs to be, but
from that.
So yes, different. It's possible, but it needs to be executed properly, and showing the difference of it. By the way, that's why I think that the next support is going to be a smite character, because we got a Heroes of the Storm.
They don't
similar character.
They have pulled this many things from Smite.
But that's what I'm saying.
Those of you that are,
but bringing a character,
pulling
watching,
things
when
from
you're watching the YouTube version, he pulled up a 0. All right, that's what he. For those who don't understand what's going on, you're not watching the actual show. Just in case, he held up a 0 number.
Can you imagine? Windu, you obviously know some stuff about Smite. Can you imagine Sparrow ult? Kind of boring. Give her Rama ultimate. Imagine
that
Sparrow
would be
with
fucking
Rama
amazing.
ultimate.
That would be amazing.
It'd be fucking sick.
I'll explain.
Hold
on, I'll explain. So Rama is a carry in Smite that whenever he casts his ultimate,
similar to Sparrow.
Similar, you know, very scaling abilities, etc. Right, land your hits, you get a little bit stronger. Blah blah blah. So his ultimate is he goes up on a tower, super high into the sky, and he now fires
above the map.
He fires then 3 shots, each shot getting progressively smaller and harder to hit. But
more damage.
But imagine to the point that you would be on duo and you cast an ultimate and now you're about to jump into the jungle and be like, fuck, that one wall's blocking me. That's a good use of that verticality. That guy decided to go right behind those fucking stairs and now I can't fucking see him. Now I can't ult him, right?
Yeah.
Or like little things like that, like, or being able to just kind of go up into the air, shoot over the wall downward because I use my ultimate. I do agree. There's a lot that could be done. I don't think them being inspired by top down is limiting them. I think the limitation might actually come more towards their approach, right? Because with all that skill expression, with all that cool shit, is going to mean more technicality, more work for them, while simultaneously more difficult skill expression for the average player, right? So I don't doubt that they're planning on implementing shit like that down the road. That's probably on their personal roadmap somewhere. But I think that because we see things like one crest only, one active only, because we see such an emphasis on controller support optimizing, because we see such an emphasis on UI getting to console, I think they're literally trying to keep shit as simple as possible for now so they can ensure that the initial wave of console players will be happy, pleased, and say, this game isn't hard, I can play this more often. And then later give us some of the crazy complicated shit like a character that hops from wall to wall and shit. Like, I think they're doing that shit on purpose just to please the casual players.
But I feel, and I'm only saying this off of what I've heard people say from League of Legends, right? In early League of Legends, they did the same thing. It wasn't until later that they started putting in these more like harder to use kits and harder to use heroes or whatever. Like that's when they started, to expand their portfolio when it comes to heroes. And I think Predecessor can do the same thing. But in the meantime, you can use those same heroes and bring them in and attract a League of Legends player to come play a 3D version of League, because that's really what we're making, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with making a 3D version of League.
I think it's naive to come into a MOBA genre that's been out for 10 years and expects to be able to succeed by designing character kits from 10 years ago. I think if you're trying to succeed in this genre, you need to have characters that are, if they are copies of other MOBAs, they need to be the definitive version, or you need to, what's the word I'm looking for? When you make something new,
improve it.
And improve it would be one way of saying it. You need to improve or create things of your own that are fun to play.
Yeah,
I disagree.
That's my point, is that like I think, and this is the way MOBA players kind of work, right? Especially you're talking about League, a game that's been around for 10 years. If you want to pull a player from League of Legends and turn them into a predecessor player, even if, let's say you take, the only character that I've played in League is the Fox Xygore, right? Even if you take that kit and put it into predecessor, if a League player comes in and is like, oh, hey, this character is basically Ahri, let me try this, and they play it and it's just Ahri, they're just going to go play League. That's it. They're just going to go play the game that they already know how to play.
Which is why I said it needs to be the definitive version of the character.
Exactly.
If you're going to make Ahri, it needs to be Ahri but on cocaine.
Well, I mean, the way that I look at it is that Pred literally has an entire extra dimension to work with. If you want to adapt a league kit, you literally have a whole dimension, the third dimension that League doesn't have, and you can work with that. And I just think like I think Kira's a prime example. She's a flat character. She would work the exact same in a top-down MOBA or Smite. She's not a Paragon hero. She's just another MOBA hero, you know? That's kind of, I just think that's a little bit of a missed opportunity. You know, I think that the characters that truly can use the third dimension, like Gideon Ultimate is an ult that wouldn't work in another MOBA because you couldn't portal straight up an Ultimate and be above everybody. That wouldn't really work in another MOBA, you know?
I mean, Gideon's one of the best. Well, so yes, the teleport in, I think he's talking about verticality. You can still get caught.
Yeah.
So I will say Gideon
that extra
portrays
of verticality.
I think Gideon portrays games like this the best, right? He's a cool mage, probably easy to use because of, you know, certain AoEs here and there and whatnot. Great example of verticality. But if you want to have, like, honestly, think of it like this: the average character, if you want to accentuate that verticality, go grab a jump pad, you know, or go grab Galaxy Greaves to try and kind of make it a little bit similar. There's a lot of characters that are very limited, and I hear you as far as Kira goes, but again, I think that's mainly because they're trying to, I don't want to use the word sandbag. We already know they're kind of sandbagging a little bit as far as skins go. They're trying to keep it basic. They're trying to add a little bit of skill expression. Greystone, for example, they made his ultimate inactive, trying to add a little bit of skill expression, but they're like, hey, you know what? Let's not change too much because we don't need to reinvent the wheel. He was already basic, and newer players loved Greystone, by all means. There's a reason why a lot of newer jungle players love Chimera. They don't need to know how to kite to survive longer. You get what I'm saying? There's little things here and there that there's a reason why those characters are the favorite. I think they're going to keep giving, and I know that we're preaching to a wall basically here. We want more skill expression. We want more actives, this and that. I dead ass think they're going to keep it as middle ground as possible to give us just enough skill expression, but not overcomplicate it, because by the end of the day, the majority of players, as far as they're concerned, is going to use this. The majority of players are going to play just for a couple of hours after they get off work with their boys. And they're going to, I think they're tailoring to that like crazy. Eventually,
combat, then play by themselves.
I'll die on the hill.
People play Overwatch on controller. Same thing. Couple hours a day they play on controller. There's still controller players that click heads on Widowmaker. I think that
players are fucking good, man. Like Fortnite players. Well, who was
that's what I'm saying. Like
Fortnite that was able to, like, they won a tournament. Like, it was huge.
That's what I'm saying. I just don't think that it's fair to be like, we need easy heroes for controller players. I just think that's one of the.
Well, hold on. Let me hold on.
Players. We need easy heroes just for casual players.
Well, that's
the thing.
Let's reiterate there.
I think
we have keyboard 30 of those characters already.
Yeah, I disagree with that. I was gonna say, let's reiterate there. The casual players in general can come in all shapes or sizes, any peripherals. You're gonna have somebody like Pappy that's gonna play on a Nintendo 64 controller and try and make that shit work. Yeah, much love to Pappy. But regardless of what their peripherals are, at the end of the day, the reason why I say this is because the average player, they're aiming for is console. Consoles dominated the majority of Paragon. They're hoping that it'll dominate the majority of this game. Now, besides that, you can have top tier players with any peripheral, but when you consider, let's just say 70%, let's use Paragon type numbers, 70% are console. Out of the console player base, what percentage of players are actually going to be top tier versus the average casual? We can use the numbers of League of Legends as a comparison, even though I don't think it'll be accurate. Let's say the top 10% of players, regardless where they are, will be good. The other 90% average, right? So that means
converting those numbers, we're looking at that 10% League of Legends is going to be like 1% Paragon.
Well, but you get what I'm saying. They might not be accurate. I'm just using it for this example.
Right.
So that means there's 90%.
It's small.
90% of the majority player base will be a casual with a controller that doesn't have the skill expression. And that's why I understand. Yeah, and I understand the outliers. And you're right. They're going to be playing against other people with the same exact
skill level.
1,000%. But I think they're too. And I do disagree. I do agree that with you, Xygore, it's not as big of an issue as they might think it's going to be. But I think they're hyper focused on making it as simple as possible so that 90% of the majority is as happy as possible. So they feel as good as possible, as great of a player as possible. I think that's their focus.
Needs is a casual game mode. It needs arena mode. That is what would make them happy.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong, Pinzo. You're not wrong.
On Smite, the majority
You're right, Xygore.
The majority of Smite players are on console. Like 60+% of Smite players are on console. And of those console players, like 80% of them don't touch ranked. And most of them don't even play Conquest, right? They play Arena and Assault, which is ARAM. And that's it. They play the casual game modes because they get on, like Windu said, for 2-3 hours at night after work, right? They're not there to grind. They're having fun, but like you can do that. Like that's fine. I don't care. If you're a casual player, go for it. But I think a casual game mode is what solves that issue.
Fair. I mean,
I just don't know why they don't have one already.
It's a player-based problem.
Console launches without a casual game mode, you will see a much bigger drop-off than if there was a casual game mode.
If they dropped one right now and they had that, let's give it a little bit more generous. Let's say 30-70 split with its current player base, right? You're literally going to have average of 500. So you're literally going to have what? 120 people on Conquest. And then the majority of the rest are going to be playing ARAM or whatever.
Players.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you get successful Conquest games with only 120? Sorry, go ahead.
No.
I know you're good. Let's think about it this way. If the majority of this player base is casual players and the player base can't support having a casual mode, this game would be better served dropping the 5v5 mode and just having a casual mode for casuals and then worry about 5v5 later and then make it actually competitive.
Well,
they can support having a casual mode. The thing is, the casual mode is not going to be the main mode.
They're focused,
right? And that's because that's not what it is. That's not what we're here for, right?
They want to say stay true to MOBA.
I'm
there
a casual
who
gamer.
have thousands of hours in Smite and they only play Arena.
I don't give two shits about Smite right now, Pinzo. I'm just being honest with you. Like the Smite, it is what it is. But I'm a casual gamer. I'm not your 1%er with you guys, right? But I love playing the 3v3 map, the 3-lane map, 5v5. That's what I want to play, right? And if you force me to play Arena, I'm not gonna play this game. I don't play Smite for a reason. We're
not saying don't play 5v5.
I've touched Conquest. I've touched Conquest 3 times total in Smite. My whole time of ever playing Smite. I don't enjoy Smite in itself. And what you do is you play fucking Arena. That's what you do. You play Arena or Joust. And it's like, that's not fun for me.
I'm not trying to say that you should just play in Arena mode. I'm just saying I think this would be better served by having one, despite the population.
And it will eventually. Right now, we can't support it. This game is going to live and die by that the 3-lane map, right? The 5v5 actual what a MOBA truly is. That's what it's going to live and die by. Why not?
I think it's
Smite
just like
survives on Arena mode.
Yeah.
The majority of Smite players do not play Conquest.
I don't think that adding a casual mode would cannibalize the 5v5 map. I think that if you build it, they will come. I think that there is a demographic of player that would come play Pred in the casual mode and never touch the 5v5 mode.
Exactly.
Just like I think there's a demographic of a player like you who will play Pred just for the 5v5 mode and not touch the arena mode. I'm not saying that because you're casual, you should go play the arena mode. And I'm not saying, basically what I'm saying is I think that there are two demographics and the casual demographic that would play Arena is untapped, and I don't think that adding that to the game would kill off the 5v5 mode. And if it did, you could only add it on like Saturday night, let's say.
I think my other kind of counterpoint is, I think if you added a casual game mode, I think people would come back. I think you'd see player numbers rise.
I agree.
Even without console, I think you'd see PC players come back because the combat of the game is good.
Not until they market. They're not marketing, and nobody's
7,000 people played on day one though. Like if those people saw that Pred has 12,000 Twitter followers, if they saw an arena mode, I think people would come back.
There's also like 60,000 people on the Discord.
We just had the conversation about how Predecessor's community doesn't use Twitter before we went live with this show.
Well, at least the last week. We're talking about like the community members themselves.
Like the community doesn't use it. Like,
well, they use it enough to follow.
They have 15,000 followers.
Doesn't mean they're
like
actually,
Xygore said, they have tens of thousands of people in the Discord. I mean, I legitimately think something like a casual arena mode would bring people back to the game. I think it would boost player numbers.
And I also think not having a casual game mode on the release of console is a massive mistake, because you're going to have probably, I would bet you would have 30,000 players coming in when console launches.
What was the sorry, say it again. What was that?
If you don't have a casual mode on console release, that would be a massive mistake, because I think that there are a lot of people who would stay for the game for a casual mode and never play 5v5. And if you don't have that casual mode on release, a lot of those players will come and play the game and decide it's not for them, when they otherwise would stay just for the casual arena mode or whatever other casual mode that you have is.
I mean, fair. That's why there's different options at a restaurant.
Pred has had over 60,000 players just on, I think if you look at like Omeda City, there's like 60,000 accounts on that website, which is people who have played since February, I think. So saying that they would have 30,000 more players.
Not quite 1-to-1, but yeah.
Yeah. Obviously not concurrent, but to have a concurrent player base of 1,000 players, you have to have like 10,000-15,000 just to support that, because not everybody's playing every day, essentially. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah, I get it.
Okay.
Yeah,
but even if it's 20,000, 10,000 people for console, like the number doesn't really matter. It's my point, right?
And also, just to clarify a little, when we say casual game mode, like we've been talking about it, we're not talking like ranked versus like casual. We're talking like 5v5 3-lane normal map versus something like an arena mode or an ARAM mode. Like that's what we mean. Just to clarify.
Yeah.
And I'm also not trying to like gatekeep the 5v5 mode, be like 5v5 should only be for competitive players. All the casuals get out and go play something else, because that's
what ranked 5v5 would be for.
Exactly, yeah. Although
I feel like that's my point I'm trying to make, is that's what's going to happen. If you do that, then it's literally going to be, and you guys right now, I've heard the issues of 1%ers having an issue, the queue times being so high. If you put a casual game mode in this game right now, you guys won't find a fucking match.
Queue times are not high.
I don't know who's been complaining about high queue times.
Yeah, it's outside of like 6 a.m. Yeah, queue times are like instant.
The system is actually pretty forgiving, even though that does mean you'll end up, with
a little less well made, but queue times are not an issue.
I end up dumpstering poor Timmy.
He said poor Tim. I got a buddy that's literally, every time that he ends up with like Pinzo on his team or Joey on his team or Xygore or somebody, he'll message and be like, bro, why the fuck is Pinzo in my lobby again? Like, what is happening?
I had a guy today playing Fang Mao, level 12 at 45 minutes. I was like, what?
Like I said, I feel like I'm the outlier, and I feel like I'm ruining people's matches when I play. So,
I mean, here's the thing. Because I'll be honest with you, I feel this way about playing with some of my homies, to the point that I know the moment I join their party, it's automatically going to be a harder match. Side. Disagree, the majority of the current players are hardcore players that want to play 5v5 mode. Okay, I mean, fair, probably at this point, probably the core 500 that are left on average playing consistently, I would say, they're probably a little bit more on the hardcore side.
And I never claimed counter to that to begin with, so I'm not quite sure what he's getting at.
Well, my point is, if you're putting another casual mode in, you're literally separating the player base, and it just makes it even
I think
you put it if you put a casual game mode in and you only have 100 people play.
It's because me and Reaper were talking. Yeah, it's because we were having a conversation, but he's basically saying those 500 core players, if they added a new game mode, the majority, if not all of those 500 core average players will probably keep playing 5v5, because if they're here now this long, probably because they love the 5v5. The other game mode will get filled with the players that left and come back because that's what they were waiting for. That's what the argument that he's making.
So then those people, so that casual game mode will be considered dead, because when you're in queue and you're in queue for 20 plus minutes and nobody's queuing up,
well, what
everybody's playing the game mode, like the 5v5 game mode, then it's like, well, this game's dead, and then they leave and they don't come back.
At some point, they're saying. What they're saying is the 500 people who are already here keep playing 5v5. That's fine. The players who come back, like after seeing that there's a casual game mode in Predecessor now, that's sweet. A bunch of players come back and they primarily play the 5v5 or the casual game mode, which would populate it.
And at some point, this game has to introduce more game modes. If they have a console release and there is not a casual game mode,
I said,
and the game is in the current state that it is right now, you will poison the well with all of those players who come in, play the game for 2 or 3 months, get to the point we're at, and we're like, all right, I'm never playing this again because this game is not that fun. And then you lose all of your potential.
Bro, I'll be honest with you, controversial, and I'm sorry, Xygore, Pinzo, honestly, everybody that is decent to good, the moment console comes out and the moment all these brand new ass players are out here,
not gonna fix anything.
Well, but they better, like, I hope that there's some sort of gatekeeping to where I don't give a fuck if Pinzo has to wait half an hour to an hour for his game. Don't ruin it for, because he's hold on.
They should increase the strength of matchmaking.
Full-time streamer, you're gonna get at least, let's say, 20 games in a full, let's say, like 10-hour stream that you're gonna do. Considering that you'll probably bully a lot of new people if it were given, right? So let's say 15 to 20 games. Let's say it's new people every single time, right? So 20 times 9, what is that? That's already 180 possible players that Pinzo himself might already discourage from playing the game.
My team, to be fair.
Oh, I mean, okay, but to be fair, they're also going to be like, well, good thing that he was on our fucking team. There's a good chance the next game they're against you, the way things are. You're right.
I think that when console drops, they should increase the strength of matchmaking.
Yeah.
So that just to keep new players and new players.
When competitive nights dropped, I remember watching Survivor's 5-stack get queued into like 5 bronze players on competitive night. And I remember Survivor was able to freeze duo lane for 20 minutes straight, and the other duo lane did not get a last hit. And I remember Smokey and Robbie, RGSAs, were both in his Twitch chat, and I asked them, I was like, are you seeing this? Because if you guys have this kind of discrepancy in matchmaking ratings when like the game launches, these players are not going to play ever again, because there's no way they're having a good time. And they can't just leave, because then they get punished for that as well. So, yeah. They better not have me playing against brand new players, or those new players are gonna quit. So bro, I agree with your sentiment.
Make it stricter. Have somebody like Pinzo and Xygore wait their hour. Make me wait my 45 minutes. Man. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day,
but I will.
Well, that's the thing. We might hate the increased times. Like, even if I gotta wait 20-30 minutes, right?
Oh, I'm not saying I won't be frustrated, but I'll wait.
I understand it. Like, given the fact that the other 90% are going to be having a grand fucking time and everybody's as confused as everybody else, you know what I mean? Like, I think that would be the best thing for the game. Even though, by suggesting that, we're basically saying, hey, the EA crowd that's already used to playing the game, fuck them. Focus on the new players, and that's literally what we're saying by saying this. I just want to reiterate.
I literally just had this conversation exactly today with my daughter. She was complaining about her volleyball coach said he was going to focus on all the girls, but as of recently, he's only been focusing on the new girls. And I had to explain to my daughter that you have to focus on the new girls playing volleyball, because you got to get them at least somewhat up to speed. So when he starts coaching and starts using terminology that you girls understand, they need to understand that terminology, right? So you have to get them up there. So I 100% agree with you. We got to get the new people coming in. We got to get them to understand what's going on. If we have to wait longer. Again, an hour for Pinzo and Xygore, 45 minutes for Windu, 5 minutes for me. I'll wait 5 minutes. It's okay. I'm all right with waiting a little longer. It's not that big of a deal, and that's what we need to do. My biggest thing with the situation is when it comes down to everything going on, we just need to make sure that we allow the new people coming into this game. They want to play the I don't know. I just feel like they want to play the MOBA, right? A casual game mode is going to be there. We can build. That's what I'm saying. Sorry, Xygore. We can build the game up with the current mode that we have. We got to get a couple different contents in there, whether it be hero mastery, whether anything else that we can, other skins, whatever. We can get this player base built up on certain content that still is not in this game, but we still have to build up there. Once we get that in there, the player base will get bigger. Once the player gets bigger, then we can separate in half, right? That's what we need. We need to go to a point where, like, hey, if we divide this in half right now, are they both going to survive?
I just think we fundamentally disagree that adding a new mode would split the current player base in half.
I think the better, like,
I don't think it'll split in half. I think it's the issue. I think that's the issue. It's not going to split in half. If it was 250, we're good. 100% golden. But the problem is you're going to put, it's going to be 450 in one and 50 in the other, and you're going to be sitting there. It's like in the casual game mode or in the 5v5, one or the other. I think it's just casual game mode, and it's like this casual game mode's dead. The game's dead.
I think you're thinking about it wrong. I think it's more of like, I think it's more of like, if you're giving away free soup and you have 500 people show up.
Soup's disgusting. You're obviously screwed up with that analogy.
You're giving away free soup. Okay, 500 people show up.
Hey, for him, cereal soup. We're just gonna throw that out there. Go ahead.
If you start giving away free sandwiches, do you think half of your soup people will get sandwiches and 0 other people will show up? Or do you think some people that don't like soup, like Beer did, will show up to get a sandwich? I think you'd have more people show up, period. You might have some soup people go to the sandwich line, but you'll have a bunch of people show up that just want sandwiches.
One of the problems with your analogy is it's free, and this game's not free. The other part of your analogy is right, but we're talking about putting a casual game mode in before free. You guys want a casual game mode in before console drops.
7,000 people played it while it was
not going to drop.
7,000 people peak played it.
Sure, and how fast did that drop?
Okay,
maybe it didn't drop because there's no casual game mode.
Yeah, and how you're not gonna get. I don't care what you tell me. You could sit here and say whatever you want right now. We're not gonna get all that number is not coming back. Right, just by putting a new casual game mode, that's not happening. Especially with no marketing. There's no marketing to this game. Right, you put a casual game mode in. You have to take the numbers we have. We can't hope that numbers are coming. You take the numbers that we have. When the numbers we have, we put another game mode in. What's going to happen with these numbers? If they divide in half, we're golden. If they don't, and we only have 50 people show up to one of the modes, it's going to be a negative aspect, and Steam's going to get spammed. Game dead, game dead, game dead, game dead with all these reviews. And so that's going to be a bad situation.
I think you're underestimating how many people would come back for a casual game mode.
I think you're overestimating what's going to happen when people come back and play this game. Like they're not. It's going to come back, and they're going to see the bugs that we're having. That you have, you're not able to fucking queue up or whatever. Have all these issues that are currently going on. All the crashing bugs that were still currently going on, and that's going to happen. Then people are just going to leave again.
So the answer to this is we don't know. To Bearded's credit,
100%.
When League of Legends drops brand new game modes, like I said earlier, typically engagement is driven for about 2 weeks to 4 weeks, and then the hype for the new game mode kind of dies off, and then it's dead, which is usually when they'll rotate it out for something else. To Pinzo's credit, in Smite, most of the Smite players, who, keep in mind, are console players, play the game for Arena, or did you say Joust, or what was the other one you said?
Assault, ARAM. So most of the players in Smite are casual players. And so the reality is it could play out more like Bearded said, and what I'm inclined to believe is it'll play out more like it does in Smite, because Smite is also a console game. And I think that you would probably get a lot of crossover between Smite players into this game if there were casual modes. But the reality is we don't know, right?
worst case scenario, we release a casual game mode and then it's only available on like Saturday and Sunday nights or Friday, Saturday nights, right? And I don't think that would be a bad thing.
True. So let's do this. On that note,
I agree. Hold on. I agree. If you brought it in, hey, we're literally just a small sample size, almost like competitive nights, but more of a casual instead of a competitive. It's more casual. Like, hey, here's a casual game mode just for you guys to play this weekend. Come enjoy it this weekend. And it's a small advertisement, but it's not like marketing. You're not like push marketing. Like, it's just here it is. Come play it. And to help bring some of those players back, to see those players that left in that early version 1, 12, 2, 3, have them come back and really see what it's like. Hey, this game's actually changed or whatever. That wouldn't be a bad situation if you're only doing it for a small period of time.
If there was an arena, it gives that crunch player the opportunity to figure out how to cancel his abilities and sack his Q correctly without griefing your game. There you go.
Look at that. Zygore's tailoring his comment towards me. He's like, all right, see, this will help you. See, I'm telling you, just disagree with me. It's going to help you. But
all right, guys.
You were saying, Windu?
Yeah, so honestly, guys, we'll end it on that note, quite frankly, because we're already at our time limit. I know we can literally
time limit.
Yeah, we can literally sit here and argue for hours. So I'd love to hear what everybody watching has to think about everything that we talked about, but specifically right there towards the end was Xygore's mentioned. We don't know. Should we have more of an idea? Should we be testing? I want to hear what everybody has to think, what everybody thinks about the current situation that we haven't heard much within the last week. The fact that we're speculating so much. Let us know in the comments down below. Wherever you guys are watching, please drop a GG. Let us know that you made it this far. We're going to do our quick little outros. Same order that we introduce ourselves. This time, I'm not going to skip Bearded, just so kind of people can kind of throw their plugs.
I want to do a shout out to everybody here, Windu, Pinzo, and Xygore. I said earlier that it probably wasn't going to get spicy. I was completely wrong. It did get a little spicy, but it was great conversation. It was good, back and forth. Pinzo coming up with a bunch of good comments. Xygore coming with good comments. Windu talk about Mortal Kombat. It was good to have you back, Windu. I'm happy that we got 2 weeks back. Right? He's probably
no.
While we're actually doing the show. But no, I appreciate you all. Right, that's why I had to do the streaming. Got it. But I do appreciate everybody here in chat that's live, and I appreciate all of you that are watching on YouTube. So yeah, we'll get back to the outros. But no, great conversation, guys. It was a good one.
For sure. Again, so F6 isn't going to be able to do a shout out because he's not here. Shout out to the homie F6. Go follow him on Twitch and Kick and YouTube. F6, and I believe it's spelled EFSIXXX. Correct me if I'm wrong.
And underscore, I believe. EFSIXX
we'll have a link.
underscore.
We'll have a link with his stuff in the description for sure. But go watch the homie, follow him, support. He's not here to do his plugs, shout out, or anything, but another integral member of the group. Now, in the same order that we introduce ourselves, please do a quick little outro. Let people know what you're up to, where they can find you, what you got going on upcoming, and then either the devs, the community, give them a little bit of advice, a little bit of 2 cents from you to them directly. Go ahead.
All right, hopefully my screen doesn't fall out again, but I'm Xygore. You can find me on YouTube at Xygore or on Twitch. Also, I talked to Ray a lot about Sereth and her weird Q interactions, like the Fae ult pulling her out of Q. That's not intended, but I'm going to put a Twitter post out about that after this is done. I wanted to talk about it here, but we're out of time. So if you want to see that and learn, what's supposed to be intended there, go ahead and follow me on Twitter. Other than that, thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it. It's always fun being with you guys.
Appreciate you being here.
Great having you, man. Thanks again
for being here. Yeah. I'm Pinzo. I stream daily, upload YouTube videos daily, all that kind of stuff. I think we had a good chat today. I kind of like it. It got a little spicy, but I don't mind. Sorry about the technical difficulties at the beginning. Bit of a rough start, but we got rolling, so don't worry about that. Other than that, I don't really have... Well, I've got some things in the oven, but I don't know how long they're going to be in there for. So don't hold your breath, but
Any
hopefully,
right?
Like, what do we got?
A
bowling league stream? What do we got? Like what
No.
We're talking about like
special pred content. I got some cool stuff cooking. I just don't know how long. I think it probably won't be out till next week. So
got you.
All
so
right. you gonna dress up as a claw, to reference the new hero?
Beetle, the definite Beetle hero that's coming out this season.
My dude's cooking with a light bulb. Let him, bro.
All right.
I'll go.
So you go.
I was gonna say I'll go because you were supposed to be like you ended up last, so I'll let you end the whole stream. What's up, guys? Again, I'm Windu. Been here for a minute. If you guys want to watch any of my content, just search for Windu the Mace anywhere. Twitter's where I post most of my opinions. Instagram's where I post all the pictures, daily life, and etc. And YouTube is where 99% of my content actually goes to. So do give me a follow if you could. That's where we watch these Predcasts after the fact. If you guys are watching after the fact, please leave a like, leave a comment, engage. That way more predecessor people actually get to see the videos like these. Share them as much as possible. And like Pinzo was saying, so sorry for the technical difficulties. Usually I'm the one that streams everything. My computer was running into technical difficulties, and then when Bearded took over, his computer ran into technical. We're gonna get these worked out. We appreciate you guys being patient, but go ahead, Bearded, take it away.
All right. As for myself, you guys can catch me Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday during football season. Thursday's kind of iffy, depending on where my nephew's playing, if he's a home game or not. So tomorrow he's away, so I will be gaming here, grinding some more Seraph, possibly jungle, trying to get better at that role. I'm really bad at it, so but I do my best. But having some fun playing Seraph. But so catch me there live here. Eventually I'll probably get better at actually making YouTube content, and maybe I'll be as good as Pinzo and Windu someday. Maybe not, but anyways, I appreciate everybody being here. When it comes to the community, you guys are amazing. I love the show out that we get for the live show. I love the show out that we get for the YouTube version. Again, comment as much as you can on the YouTube version. I try my best to comment on all the comments